across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. Good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. Stand by for 3 thrilling hours of news, views and topical debate. I am your genial host, Kevin O'Sullivan, and I'll be with you all the way to 10 o'clock. It is your show too, so get involved, get it off your chest, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number, and I promise to play your message out. It is Tuesday, November the 25th. Here's what's coming up. Remember the so-called Manchester cop beaters? The Muslim brothers who in July last year, 2024, got involved in a punch-up involving 3 police officers at Manchester Airport last year. A fracas that was famously caught in painful detail on CCTV. In July this year, 5 months ago, one of them was found guilty of common assault on a member of the public and 2 counts of actual bodily harm against 2 female officers, one of whom suffered a broken nose. Since his conviction at Liverpool Crown Court, Mohammed Fahir Ahmaz has been in jail, remanded in custody, but he still has not been sentenced. What's going on? Meanwhile, his brother Mohammed Ahmed walked free after the jury failed to reach a verdict on the charge that he assaulted PC Zachary Marsden. Ahmaz, his brother, is also accused of the same offence. Both face a retrial. A hearing on the case is set for tomorrow, and the retrial is scheduled for April the 13th next year. Everyone knows that the wheels of British justice turn slowly, but the drawn-out nature of this legal soap opera seems extraordinary. Why is it taking so long in this case for justice to be served? 0344 499 1000. In other news, Kemi Badenoch backs Tory chairman Kevin Hollinrake after he compared the new Reform UK logo to a Nazi swastika badge. Why? Kemi says he was just being funny. Was he? Who's laughing? Does Kev have any other hilarious jokes about Hitler's evil Nazis? For this juvenile jibe that wasn't funny, shouldn't this guy apologise? After all, he is a grown-up, isn't he? 0344 499 1000. Also tonight, after yet another abysmal performance before the Culture Committee, still ludicrously insisting that the state broadcaster is not institutionally biased when it clearly, obviously is, should bungling BBC chairman Samir Shah consider his future? In fact, should he be fired? Do we really trust this squirming apologist to pick the next Director General? Why on earth did Shah try to persuade the comically useless Tim Davie not to resign? 0344 499 1000. Thank God, by the way, he failed. Plus, she's blamed everything and everyone else for the shambolic mess she's made of the economy. Now, ahead of tomorrow's Budget from Hell, Rachel from Accounts insists she gets criticised because she's a woman. It's all down to misogyny. No, it's not, Rach. It's because you are a pathetic pile of industrial-scale incompetence. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. You're just hopeless. 0344 499 1000. Moving on, in an hour or so, it's Dial a Dame. Our phone-in with Reform's Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, Dame Andrea Jenkins. Ask her anything you like. She's here to answer your questions. But here's an idea to get the ball rolling. After Australian Senator Pauline Hanson was banned from the Aussie Parliament for wearing a burqa to make her case against them, should Britain ban all over face covers for women? 0344 499 1000. Also on tonight's packed show, the Christian preacher who ended up in court accused of hate speech after he said, "Pray for the Jews, pray for the Palestinians." as a Muslim family walked by. It's an astonishing story. The Thought police cracking down on the alleged hate crime of spreading the Christian word. 03444991000. And finally, royal guru Kinsey Schofield on Meghan's latest headline-hitting antics. Did the difficult Duchess really walk off with a $1,700 dress after a glossy magazine photo shoot? That's what a newspaper says. Stay tuned to find out all that and so much more. So don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Tuesday night together. And it being Tuesday, for the first 60 sizzling minutes of tonight's action-packed show, I will be in the splendid company of barrister and political commentator Stephen Barrett. Welcome, Stephen.
Pleasure to be here, Kev, as always.
Great to have you on board. Now, we'll kick off with a legal conundrum for you, if you like. This was a case that gripped the nation. You will remember 2 Julys ago, July 2024, an extraordinary fracas was caught on CCTV at Manchester Airport. It involved 3 coppers, 2 women, 1 male officer, and 2 Muslim brothers. Now, since then, everything about this case has taken so long. It took until December for the Manchester Police, the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service, to finally decide to charge these 2 brothers with anything. They both then, this July, so 5 months ago, went to Liverpool Crown Court, 4-week case. At the end of that case, one of the brothers, the younger one, he's 20 years old, his name is Mohammed Fahir Amaz, was found guilty. He was found guilty of common assault on a member of the public and 2 counts of actual bodily harm against 2 female officers, one of whom suffered a broken nose. Ever since then, he hasn't been sentenced. He still hasn't been sentenced. And yet, he's been in jail, in custody, remanded in custody, in jail. No sentence. Meanwhile, his brother, his older brother, Mohammed Ahmed, after that long 4-week case at the Liverpool Crown Court, he walked free after the jury failed to reach a decision. They couldn't come to a verdict. And that was on the single charge that Mohammed Ahmed assaulted PC Zachary Marsden, a copper, Zachary Marsden. Amaz, the younger brother, is also accused of that same offence while he languishes in jail. Both face a retrial. A hearing is set for this case tomorrow, and the retrial, drum roll, is set for April the 13th next year. Now, as I said in my monologue, everyone knows that the wheels of British justice turn slowly. Glacial, in fact, glacial pace, our wheels of justice turn scandalously, in my view. But even given that, the drawn-out nature of what's become a kind of legal soap opera in this case seems extraordinary. Why is it taking so long for justice to be served? Why is this guy been in jail since July and still not charged? And why, oh why, is the retrial not even set until next April? I mean, the chances are by the time some verdict hopefully is reached in that case, it might be 2 years since the actual alleged offence. I mean, this is a disgrace, really, isn't it? The drawn-out nature of this.
So the first thing to say, Kev, is that absolutely everybody is innocent until proven guilty, and I'd rather be dead in a box before I'll give up on that line. So all of these things are simple allegations that. Well,
no,
other than the ones that are
not
found.
for the younger one.
Yeah. So that's just because I think that's more valuable. That's more about who we are as a nation than anything else, and I don't want to ever give that one up. The famous speech is that you would give the devil himself the protection of the rule of law, because that, I mean, that speech says to protect us, but I actually think that that's just a moral and for me an ethical.
Yeah, it's fair enough, but I'm not really talking about that.
You're not. You're talking about the suspicion that there's 2-tier justice.
Well, I'm just asking why it's taken so bloody long. It's ridiculous. I mean, the cops in the first place and the CPS took from July until December to decide to bring any charges at all. We all saw that video. We all saw various versions of that extraordinary punch-up. It took them, what is that, 7 months. 7 months to come to a decision to charge these. Why did it take so long, and why is this still dragging on? I understand if a jury can't reach a decision, of course you have to dissolve the jury and have a retrial. That's fair enough. Why is Amaz, the younger brother, why hasn't he been sentenced? Why is he still in jail? Waiting for a sentence? That's ridiculous, isn't it? He's been found guilty of these very serious charges.
Well, I think so. But what they would say is that if this was one event and numerous crimes emerged or alleged crimes emerged out of it, then he should be sentenced for all of them, whether he's found guilty in the future or not, in one go. That's what they would say. A cynic would say that being in prison on remand is nicer than just being in normal prison. And what we're seeing increasingly is we do have two-tier justice.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to deal with that in a very mature way. Not everything we see and smells fishy is going to be a fish. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we're going to get overly angry when actually the authorities are just being normal. I think you're quite right. The CPS and the police took forever to prosecute this because they didn't want to, and I think that is extremely dodgy.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that is two-tier policing, and I am more than happy to call out two-tier policing. This system doesn't feel it's hard to say it's slower than a normal case, I think. And also, if everybody else is genuinely sentenced at the same time for a series of crimes or alleged crimes that come out of the same factual event, the same day, then that should fairly apply to him. Because those of us who don't like two-tier justice need to be very, very firm that we are defending the idea of one tier of justice for everybody, the same tier of justice, Lady Justice being blind and being fair to us all. So if that is fairly applied to everybody else, which I suspect it probably is in this court process, then I don't think it's unfair. I just make the slight point about it's probably nicer to be in prison on remand than it is in prison. But the fact that he's not released he's not enjoying that, is he? That's not.
No, and of course, should he be found guilty of attacking Zachary Marsden, then of course his time in jail will be taken into consideration with whatever sentence he may or may not get. But that is to happen in the future. I mean, I'm not trying to make a point about the retrial. That's one of those things. I mean, I find it quite strange that the jury found it so difficult to reach a decision on this, but that's up to the jury. We can't really go there. Fair enough. I don't understand why Amaz has not been sentenced. I don't see what justice is served by delaying his sentence. What I'm getting at, I suppose, Stephen, in a roundabout way, is there's something about this case that has always terrified the authorities. They have walked on eggshells since day one about this, and they still are. He should be sentenced by now, and I don't care what mealy-mouthed reason they come up for not doing it. Oh, it's all of one event. It's not that. It's something to do with this case. The authorities, for some reason, are terrified of it, and I think we probably know why.
Yes, I mean, and a lot of people are getting that feeling. When we get out of where we are now, we're going to have to, those of us who are on the side of goodness, and I think that's a very broad label now. I don't think party politics works anymore. I think literally there's a coalition of the decent. I can't tell you how many times I've started agreeing with Diane Abbott. It's insane. But
get off the show. That's it. I've had enough of you.
But you know, we are just going to have to go back to decency. And when we get back to decency, we will have one system of rules that applies to everybody. I would highlight that I really do think all sentences are far too low. I don't know quite when we decided that prisoners would only serve a portion of their sentence, but I don't personally like that. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me. If people agree with me, then great, and we'll do that. We should never impose. We're not trying to impose Stephen's will on the world, you know. But I personally don't think that it just feels iffy to me. It feels like a secret that criminal barristers and criminal lawyers knew that the rest of us didn't really know. That people don't actually serve their full time. So we get told something in a newspaper headline, but it's true, but it's misleading because we're not told, oh, actually they'll only serve about 40% of it. You know, I'd like to get that fixed. I'd like to get sentencing fixed generally. And if, you know, circumstances like this, if people genuinely want people who are convicted to be sentenced and then to face a separate retrial, then that again is something we can do. What has gone wrong in our legal system is the idea that how we do things now must be this way forever. It's actually a type of ultra conservatism. It's really bizarre. They won't. The so-called left wing won't let you change anything. They just want everything to be permanently how this is, and they get very. You know, I offend them. They get very upset at me, and my only crime is ever telling people, well, you can change your country if you want to. It's your country, and you run it. But that's true, and I'd like us to get back to a more grown-up version of this. This entire, you know, incident has not felt. It just has not carried a good feeling. I hope it gets to a good outcome. I hope it gets into the hands of somebody like Mr. Justice Goose, because I do like to flag that there are very good people still in the criminal justice system. You know, Mr. Justice Goose is an absolute star, and we will have more. It's probably unfair to keep singling him out because we will have more. I just don't see them. But there will be phenomenal people. But we need to. With the idea that the system isn't broken and nobody should criticise it needs to go. That needs to be finally killed. I think that is dead. When I first started out in British public life, I would get shrieks of hysteria for mildly suggesting that everything wasn't 100% perfect. But that needs to go. And then how do we get back to a system that we all want and trust and believe in? That is another fundamental question for us, for your listeners and viewers to think about. How do we want to be?
But as for this case, the Manchester cop beaters, the so-called Manchester cop beaters, they've got to get on with it. I think it's an embarrassment. It's an absolute embarrassment, and they are clearly still tiptoeing around this case. There's something about this case that sends the shivers down the spine of the authorities, of the police, the CPS. They've been scared of it since day one. We look at that video and we think, what are you so scared of? What are you so frightened of? Looks pretty obvious to me. Why did it take you 6-7 months to decide to charge anyone on this? That was bizarre. That was absurd. Oh, we've got to be very careful here. No, not 5-6 months. Don't be ridiculous. And I still don't understand why Amaz, the younger brother, has not been sentenced. I think he should be sentenced. It's ridiculous. He's been found guilty of some very serious offences. 2 attacks on a copper, 1 attack on a member of the public. He should not be not sentenced by now. It's wrong. It's just wrong. Let me know what you think, folks. 03444 991 when we come back, Stephen, let's talk about the strange case of the Reform UK logo being compared to a Nazi swastika badge, and also this ridiculous story about just maybe Nigel Farage wasn't a very nice schoolboy. As Alex Phillips was just saying, of course, it's all over the BBC. The Guardian thinks it's the scoop of the century. I mean, I get it, you know, makes a headline. But please, please don't tell me this is a serious story, a proper story. He was a kid. He's 61 years old. You're talking about something he's supposed to have done when he was 13. 13. I mean, what is that, nearly 50 years ago? Come on. When he was a child. Really? We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with barrister and social commentator, political commentator as well, Stephen Barrett. Stephen, let's talk about Nigel Farage. Let's talk about Reform UK. There's breaking news on this infernal saga of whether or not Nigel was a nice schoolboy when he was at Dulwich College 49 years ago. Well, according to, this is breaking news, he's just spoken to the BBC website. This is a guy called Peter Etudri, a Jewish kid who was at school with Nigel Farage 49 years ago, saying that when Nigel Farage says he didn't make any of these egregious alleged anti-Semitic comments about gassing people and Hitler was right, he says that Farage is being fundamentally dishonest and he's not telling the truth, and this has left Mr. Etudri really angry. He went on to say, Farage says he didn't directly racially abuse anybody and didn't take it out on any individual. Now, Mr. Etudri says, this is a man who has power, influence, has had a massive impact on the direction of this country, for which, you know, hats off to him. But he is being fundamentally dishonest in everything he says. So I feel really upset about this. One of the most vivid memories of my school life is Farage repeatedly coming up to me and knowing that I was Jewish, saying Hitler was right and gassed them. And that was frequently followed by that kind of noise, you know, kind of imitating the sound of escaping gas. That's my abiding memory of him. That sort of verbal abuse happened quite consistently over the year that we were together in the same class. It was pretty vicious. It was pretty nasty. It was absolutely directed in a very personal way at me. Now, look, you know, that sounds really bad. And, you know, Nigel Farage says he never did say or do anything like that. And, you know, nobody would condone those kind of comments or that kind of behaviour. But for God's sake, he was a kid. It was 49 years ago. Is this what we've come to? I mean, they're trying to... I get what they're doing. It's the Guardian, the BBC. They're trying to cast a great big dark cloud over the head of Nigel Farage. This is the kind of man he is. But, you know, your thoughts. Nearly half a century ago, when he was a school child.
Well, the entire thing is infantile, Kevin. I mean, it just is. This is not a serious human society if this is what we're focusing on. If anybody's suggesting that Nigel Farage today is anti-Semitic, then they would be very wrong. And you know, the Reform has taken a strong, as have other political parties, I'm not singling out them for particular praise, but taken a very strong position against the rise of anti-Semitism, which we have very sadly seen in this country. It is a persistent evil. It is a racism that is alive in our world. It is not in Nigel Farage, and it is not in Reform. And that is it's simply wrong to start doing all of this nonsense. I can't imagine. I've not yet got to the great age that gentleman you quoted is, but I can't quite imagine being that age and giving two figs about anybody who was rude to me when I was a child. I, by the way, was a bright child in a normal working class background, and then luckily rescued to a grammar school from my point of view. So I was extensively bullied as a child. I tend not to remember the individuals. I tend not to blame them in any particular sense. I think that's perfectly what children do. I don't think it is how children should behave, and the idea that Nigel has grown up to be a man who bullies people is patently untrue. This is just smearing by our national broadcaster, who is now quite clearly on the side of the Labour Party and the state, and this is what they engage in, these sort of character assassinations. But it's pathetic. The British people will reject it. I don't care. And I think a lot of people who don't vote Reform, I'm not a member of the Reform Party, and I think a lot of people will just go, no. I think this is not only wrong, childish and stupid, it will have exactly the opposite effect that people think it will have, because the British people are fundamentally fair. And I don't really care that this gentleman was terribly upset when he was 13. That's part of puberty, to be perfectly honest. Very few of us have a nice ride. I didn't have that great a time. That's fine. We're grown-ups now.
Yeah, this was class 3R at Dulwich College, and Mr. Etuji says that he hit back at Farage's claim that he was a child at the time of the alleged incidents. We were teenagers, which in many religions is the age when you turn your gaze towards the adult world. I mean, I don't want to make light of Mr. Etuji's trauma when he was at school, but Nigel Farage was a child. To be honest with you, I don't really care what he did when he was a child. I was trying to think of my own school days. I'm sure I did some terrible things when I was a kid. In fact, looking back on my school days, I'm not sure I did anything that was ever nice. That's what kids are like, particularly boys. As I say, nobody is condoning what may or may not have been said or done here. But come on, really, let's grow up here, eh?
In an age when we have serious anti-Semitism on London streets, about which I'm deeply concerned, and I'm sure Mr. Etuji is too, that's our focus, okay? Yeah. Not whatever may have happened decades ago. And by the way, I come from, so just so listeners and viewers know, I'm from the civil division of the High Court. I'm from the commercial types of trials. My judges are very, very, so I have judges, not juries. My judges are very, very skeptical of anything that's really, and any recollection that's like over a year old. They really don't, because it's so easy for the human mind to convince itself that things happened when they didn't actually happen. And it's also quite right that most teenagers, particularly teenage boys, are not particularly happy. So it is likely that they might fixate on someone. And let's be absolutely honest, can we ask Mr. Etuji how he voted in the Brexit referendum? Because I'm not entirely, well, I'm not sure that there was a sane response from a generation above me. Yeah. I saw a lot of people who should have been respectable turn into absolute loons. I wish they'd all done what my dad did. I never say what I voted, and I'm not sure I did actually vote because I was holding the baby. Yeah. But my dad voted Remain and then said, well, we should leave them because they won. And that's what everybody should have done if they were decent. Yeah. But that wasn't what happened.
Yeah, so Mr. Etuji also talked about Farage when he was a kid in class 3R. Been very well informed. He had a sense of history and politics already at that time. He's really trying to stick him in the frame here, isn't he? But he did add, to be fair, I never saw Farage being openly racist, anti-Semitic towards any individual. I'd be disappointed because I never thought of him as an overt racist. Well, you just said that he went up to you and did gas noises and said Hitler was right. That is kind of anti-Semitic, Mr. Etuji.
It's anti-Semitic.
Yeah, you better get your story right. It seems to be all over the place here, but I think he's going with the BBC and the Guardian flow there. Let's talk about yet again the way the parties, the other mainstream parties, try to associate the Reform Party with the Nazis. I think is a disgrace. The Tory chairman Kevin Hollingwaite posted on social media, then he took it down, then he put it back up, comparing the new Reform logo to a Nazi swastika badge. Kemi Badenoch has, Nigel Farage has said furiously, this is incitement. Kemi Badenoch, the Tory leader, says, oh, Kevin was just being funny. Well, it's not very funny, is it? Earlier today, James Cleverly, the Shadow Housing Secretary, spoke to Mark Dolan on the Morning Glory breakfast show here on Talk. Let's have a listen.
Well, look, that was a decision Kevin made, and it's not necessarily whether I agree with it or otherwise, but I think he was...
Surely you don't agree with
I think
it.
he was trying to make... Well, look, it's not what I would have done, but the point is that he was drawing attention to I think, legitimate questions about some of the things that have been said by members of the Reform Party, including Nathan Gill, Reform's former leader in Wales, who's now been incarcerated for corruption charges, taking bribes.
What is the connection between
from
Nathan...
the Kremlin?
What's the connection between Nathan Gill and his egregious crimes and Hitler's Germany?
Well, look, as I say, that's not the metaphor that I would have used. But I know that Kevin was trying to draw attention to, I think, some very, very distasteful comments, some very, very inappropriate loyalties within Reform, and more importantly, Nigel Farage's failure to grip these things. I mean, yesterday he was being interviewed in Wales, and when asked, "Are you going to get a grip? Are you going to investigate some of the things that are being said by people within his own party?" He basically said that, oh, I'm not the police, implying that somehow it wasn't his problem. He's the leader of a party, and party leaders must take responsibility for the things that...
Yeah, all right, James. Keep digging a hole. Yeah, I mean, come on. And Suella Braverman, still a Tory MP, former Home Secretary, she said comparing Reform and their supporters to Nazis is wrong, irresponsible and highly counterproductive. Kevin does not speak to me. So even Cleverly there, distancing himself. Suella Braverman saying highly irresponsible, counterproductive. And ridiculously, in my view, Kemi Badenoch saying, oh, he was just being funny. Got any other great jokes about the Nazi regime, Kev? Because it's a really rich seam of humour we've got there, isn't it?
Well, so if James Cleverly's right, then party leaders need to take responsibility for what their members say, which means that Kevin needs to take responsibility for what Kevin has done. I mean, that I'm afraid that there's no two ways about that. And we are living in this highly narcissistic world where people do not wish to have rules applied to them. They only wish to see rules applied to other people. And they are trying to smear and shame Reform, which I think is entirely the wrong way to deal with this. One of the reasons I dislike current regime think across the board is that it's not very intellectual. There are people who genuinely believe, Kev, that we only object to migrants. Oh, sorry about that. That's my doorbell. But we only object to migrants because I shouldn't have done that. But deeply unprofessional. But we only object to migrants because Nigel tells us to. Well, that's not right. People object to migrants because they're committing sex crimes and murders and doing awful things. That's why it's got nothing to do with Nigel. So I just think this age of these very shallow human beings has to pass. I think for the future of the Conservative Party, if it wishes to display itself, it must show honour. And Kevin Hollingwake must at least apologise, if not
He really
resign.
should. That is just juvenile and it's not funny. And these attempts to smear Nigel Farage with stories of the playground 50 years ago, half a century ago, I get it. It's journalism. It's cheap tricks. It gives you good headlines. Nazis, Hitler, Farage. But come on, it's pretty desperate stuff if you ask me. Now, let us move on. We're going to go to break now, Stephen. And then when we come back, it's time to talk about the BBC. We've already lost the Director General, Tim Davie, who's resigned, the head of news, Deborah Turnus, who's resigned, and I think many people now believe to round off that wonderful hat trick, Samir Shah, the useless BBC chairman, should follow suit. We'll talk about that next.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Barrister Stephen Barrett. Yesterday, Stephen, Samir Shah, Robbie Gibb, one of the BBC board members, the controversial alleged right-winger, the Tory, and Michael Prescott, the former editorial advisor who first raised the alarm about the doctoring of the Trump tape on Panorama, all appeared before the Parliamentary Culture Committee. Samir Shah, he's excellent. He's the chairman. I think he's as bad as the rest of them. It was a pathetic sight to see him say, I just don't want to listen to more of these idiots who just won't accept that there is a serious case for saying that the BBC is institutionally biased. It clearly is institutionally biased against Israel. It clearly is institutionally biased towards the left. And yet these people go, no, it's not institutionally biased. We're never going to get anywhere with this. Samir Shah also said, I'm so sorry that Tim Davie, we're talking about Keystone Cop Tim Davie, the Director General, who staggered and stumbled from one scandal to crisis to scandal to crisis to the next and never dealt with any of them properly. Deborah Turnus, who presided over the BBC newsroom, going from being a bastion of impartiality to a bastion of biased, slanted reporting, especially against Israel. These people, apologies for these people is not required and not warranted, and yet there he was, same old claptrap. The BBC is fine, the BBC is brilliant. Why did he try to persuade Tim Davie not to leave? Let's have a quick look at him talking about his apology to Donald Trump.
I think the real issue here was the impression left that the President Trump in his 6th of January speech had encouraged, called to violent action. And what we had to apologise for was that, as well as the splicing of the edit. It's my view that editing interviews is a normal journalistic practice. So that in itself is not what the problem was. The problem was the impression that it led, that it was an impression that President Trump had called for direct violent action, and that wasn't the case, and that is what I thought needed to be apologised for. So the answer to your question is, I didn't think it was adequate. I thought it was necessary, but not sufficient.
Yeah, actually what he meant there, Stephen, was that Panorama deliberately doctored a speech by Donald Trump to tell an egregious lie about him. They won't admit what happened here. This was a deliberate lie told about the President of the United States of America. And that is not acceptable in anybody's book. Why did he try to persuade Tim Davie to stay? Tim Davie was useless. Why? This organisation, it will not listen to its critics. It is institutionally deaf to criticism, and that is its problem.
Yes. So when you're a barrister, and in my world, a trial might take a day, it might take a week, it might take a few weeks, it might take a few months. You are constantly paying extreme amounts of attention. It's very exhausting, by the way. Trial, Stephen, is not a happy chap. It's a very exhausting process. I tend to go to bed about 9 a.m. and there's all sorts of rituals I have. But the one thing you're doing is you're constantly paying attention to what your witness says. And, I've sat there and gone, oh, my God, my witness just destroyed my case.
Yeah,
and doesn't even realise it. Yeah. And that is what he did. He literally said that there was a clear case for the edit. That's it. I would just have, that's it. I would write those, and then I would begin my closing submission, days later, and say, clear case for the edit.
Yeah.
Because there isn't. It was a monstrous wickedness. It destroyed the reputation of the BBC in one go. You're quite right to keep highlighting Israel. I think we should also highlight that they keep pretending that men are women when they aren't.
Yep.
Which that's not offensive to anybody, that's simply truth. But, the major thing that's going to kill them is this Trump case, and they keep doubling down on it. They do it, Kev, because they are a cult.
Yes.
And cults Cults have meritocratic appointment. Okay, so you don't get a job in a cult because you have the necessary skills and ability. Big difference between you, me, and the BBC. So you trialed me as a guest host, and then you will have looked at the stats because you want merit-based recruitment, and we will have got acceptable stats, whatever they are.
Very good in your case, Stephen.
Thank you very much.
Good.
But to keep us going, and that's merit. Okay, that's getting a job on ability and doing a function that people like. The BBC does not live in a merit-based world, and that was fine whilst they were all ideologically committed to actually keeping an impartial BBC. It did exist for a brief period of time, but what happens over time is that they realise they're not merit-based recruitment. They realise that these are phenomenal jobs where you can earn huge amounts of money for basically not doing anything, and then your only task is to defend the other cult members. Yeah. So he knew that his only task was to defend the outgoing Director General. Not to pay attention to truth, not to be honest, not to focus on what actually happened. And I do think that the chair of the BBC now needs to go too.
I agree with you. They circle the wagons. That's what they've done. And Samir Shah is still circling the wagons. And Michael Prescott, who was, of course, the critic who first raised the alarm about the doctoring of the speech, the doctoring of the tape, even he said, oh, no, this is what he said to the committee. He said, well, it's a terrible thing, all of this, but, I do think that Tim Davies, a great loss. He was a tremendous Director General. He was very good at 90% of his job, but he had a blind spot when it came to editorial failings. That's a pretty massive blind spot, isn't it? If you've got a blind spot to editorial failings and you are the Director General of the BBC, you have no right to be doing that job. Get rid of him. Thank God he's gone.
Yeah, and if you did this to me, I'd come down on you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. It's basic journalistic ethics, and they don't seem to have any because they don't have any merit. They are pure cultists. And what's really funny is that it's people like Robbie Gibb, the Tories who managed to somehow pass the purity tests of these people, which, by the way, probably involves a lot of crawling on the ground and showing a lot of supplication to the cult. They're not going to be banging hard right-wingers. They're just not going to be. But the minute anything happens, how the cult turns on them, the minute, there was an MP who sits on the committee, and her entire obsession was proving that the BBC had right-wingers near it. Somebody who once voted Tory once walked past Broadcasting House. And this, that was her entire focus, rather than the fact that the BBC did something very seriously wrong.
Yeah,
and President Trump is absolutely right to go for them.
Yeah, and he will continue to go for them. And their contention that somehow or other they should be the only media outlet in the world that is allowed to seriously libel someone as important as the President of the United States and get away with just an apology. They keep going, we said sorry. What more does he want? I'll tell you what he wants. I'll tell you what more he wants. He wants what everyone else who is liable wants. A shed load of financial compensation. Something to the tune of $1 billion to $5 billion. The BBC's, kind of self-obsessed pomposity. Oh, we've said sorry. What more does he want? Don't they understand the defamation laws? Don't they understand the libel laws? An apology is not enough. If it was the Sun or the Times or the Telegraph or the Mail, do you think the Daily Mail will be allowed to turn round to, I don't know, Keir Starmer if they libelled him and say, well, come on, Keir, we said sorry. What more do you want? It doesn't go like that, does it?
No, and these are, I think, increasingly, I just think of them, Kev, as badly raised children. Children who are not used to consequences. Children who are constantly told that they're absolutely amazing and fantastic, and nobody ever says no.
That's it. That's what.
And they can't deal with it. The minute and we have to say no, because our national broadcaster cannot do this to the President of the United States. Okay, this is national security. It's not. I don't care if the BBC ends tomorrow. Our national security depends on the goodwill of the United States and the people of the United States. And we just slandered their president. And I don't give a toss what you think about him. He is their president. Their soldiers fight and die for him. It's like ours fight and die for the king. Quite rightly, because who would fight and die for Starmer? But they fight and die for their president. And we just insulted him in the most egregious, dishonest and evil way. And we have to get out of this with him, because he is the President of the United States, our closest ally.
And the BBC, if you were being tactical and strategic about the way they've behaved like idiots. You know, you don't start apologising and resigning when you don't want someone to sue you. Someone is about to sue you for libel, and the boss, the Director General and the head of news resign in disgrace, and then you issue a massive great apology, and then you say, well, we didn't do anything wrong. You've just admitted it 3 times, you absolute morons. Honestly, they are like naughty children who really do need a lesson in grown-up life, honestly. When we come back, I was about to say, talking of which, we're going to talk about Rachel Reeves next. That might be a little unfair, but I think she's being unfair to women because she is blaming all the criticism she gets on misogyny. People are criticising the way she's handled the economy because she's a woman. Really? Let's have a chat about that after this break.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Still with Barrister Stephen Barrett. Stephen, we need to talk about Rachel from Accounts, Rachel Reeves, Robber Reeves, Rachel Thieves, the dreadful Chancellor of the Exchequer who ruined the economy last October with her budget from hell, £40 billion tax grab, the biggest tax grab in modern history, killing the economy stone dead, killing all chance of growth. And ever since we've been struggling, she's created such a massive black hole in our economy, in our finances, something like 50 billion quid, that she's got to fill it again with tomorrow's budget. Everyone giving her a hard time, saying, here's the thing, you're not very good, are you, Rachel? You're rubbish. You have ruined our economy. You're not up to the job. Why have we been doing that? Well, guess why, according to Rachel? It's because we're misogynists. We hate women. We've been picking on her because she's a woman. No! Rachel, we've been picking on you because you are spectacularly useless. It's nothing to do with her gender or sex, is it, Stephen?
No, of course it isn't. And we all know this. I really think this is the year all of this nonsense dies, calling people racists in order to just dismiss their ideas, calling people sexist. It's not my fault that she's a woman and that she's incompetent. I'd like it if she was a woman and competent. And, you know, I mean, I shouldn't really pick her sex, I suppose, but, you know, what's the difference? And you've got on Talk, you've got Alex Phillips and Julia. So good luck for her tomorrow, trying to say that it's just the men who are criticising her, because I imagine they will open broadside.
Do you mean Alex Phillips and Julia Hartley-Brewer, who turn all of us men on Talk into second-class citizens? I'll tell you. But yeah, go on. Yeah,
it's just ridiculous, the amount of female commentators who are going to point out how crap she is tomorrow. It's, you know, it's absolutely clear. And personally, I think it's quite shocking that the Labour Party hasn't had a female leader yet. But I'm not somebody who plays these games, so I would never want a female leader just for the sake of it. I think this time around, because let's face it, she's going to car crash tomorrow, and then eventually he's going to fall, and then there's going to be a leadership challenge. And actually, what's interesting is that the only people I see with genuine talent in Labour are Shabana Mahmood and Angela Rayner, and I think it should be a contest between the two of them, not because they're women, but because I genuinely think that they're the only people of any talent in this government at all.
But you know, including Angela Rayner, yeah, definitely.
I do.
Definitely talent.
I do, and I would. I mean, she did a very interesting interview with Fraser Nelson a number of years ago in The Spectator, and I would urge people to read it. I think she's massively underrated. But I think she plays.
I think she's justifiably underrated, but we'll agree to differ on that.
we all agree to differ, but the idea that you and I just think Rachel's rubbish because
it's nothing to do with her, Jen. It really isn't. She said, first of all, she said that leaks in the run-up to the budget had been, and I quote, incredibly destabilising. Here's an idea then, Rachel. Don't leak. You've been leaking it up. This is a ridiculous thing to say. Anyway, she went on to say in a defiant message to her Labour colleagues in the Commons that she had this sort of pre-budget meeting. She said, I'll show the media. She's like some kid, you know. I'll show the media. I'll show the Tories. I will not let them beat me. I'll be there on Wednesday. I'll be there next year. And I'll be back the year after that. And then she goes on to say, I don't think even I had recognised the misogyny that still exists in public life. Again, nothing to do with you being a woman, Rachel, but if I can just pick you up on this, I'll be here next year, I'll be here the year after that. No, you will not.
No, she won't. And, you know, this is just ridiculous because she promised last budget that she was doing tough things that were going to be painful, and they were painful, in order to heal everything. She has not healed anything. She has made it worse. We have fewer jobs. We have a terrible job market. Our prospects are appalling. Hospitality is in the absolute sewer. I mean, we'll be lucky to have a pub left in this country after tomorrow, you know, and the idea that she cannot face consequences because she is a woman is utterly ridiculous. She's around my age, which means she would have grown up with Margaret Thatcher as Prime Minister and Her Majesty the Queen as Head of State. Stop pretending that women can't succeed and that it's got anything to do with your sex. It's just embarrassing at this point,
It is embarrassing. I said this is exactly what I said earlier, what I wrote earlier. You know, unlike Labour, the Tories do allow female leaders. 3 women have run this country. None of them ever played the sexism victim card. And Rachel Reeves doing that is even more pathetic than all the other blame shifting she's been doing. It's everyone else's fault apart from hers. And now it's also down to misogyny. Honestly, she's cutting a pretty tragic figure, isn't she?
But she's hurting real lives, Kev. Yeah. I mean, behind this, you know, this sort of narcissistic, they only doing it because I'm a woman, poor me, I'm the victim. It's like, you're not the victim, Rachel. You have a job and you have a guaranteed pension and you're very wealthy. The victims are the people who do not have jobs anymore, who do not have savings, who might have to go on to benefit, whose lives are being destroyed because you cannot run an economy, because you simply refuse to accept basic economic principles that we cannot spend more than we earn.
Yeah.
That they simply refuse to accept this. They belittle it. They laugh at it. They come up with incredibly complicated, wordy nonsenses to prove why we can actually spend more than we earn, and we can't.
And they also believe,
and we're paying the price.
They also believe, Stephen, Rachel and her gang ludicrously believe that if you feed the public sector, if you turn the public sector into a bloated, over-financed blob, that is somehow good for the economy. It is the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot feed the parasite and expect to remain healthy. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, the public sector is a cost drag upon the economy. Now, I'm an utter softie, and I want the economy to be as big as it can be so that we can afford luxuries like raising children well, caring for vulnerable people, looking after the elderly. Oh, by the way, not murdering them just because it's cheaper, which is what Labour's planning to do. But, that's what I'd like to do. But you just cannot put the cart before the horse. Ultimately, she's killing the private sector economy that pays for everything. It is Labour are the parasite that is killing their host. And that is not sustainable.
It certainly isn't. Listen, I've got to go, Stephen, because I'm going to get a quick milkshake in before she taxes them tomorrow. Stephen, great to talk to you as always. That's a brilliant Stephen Barrett, barrister, social commentator, political commentator here every Tuesday. Isn't he good? Now, when we come back after the 8 o'clock news, we're going to be joined by the great Dame Andrea Jenkins. It's Dial a Dame. Give her a call with any of your phone questions. She's here to answer them. 0344 499 1000. See you in a minute.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back for the next half an hour. By the way, in 30 minutes, I'm going to be talking to a great member of my family. Actually, we've never met, but he's part of my extended family, if you like, a guy called Sean O'Sullivan. He is a street preacher, he's a Christian preacher. He got arrested for allegedly issuing hate speech as a Muslim family walked by. Apparently he said something along the lines, we love the Jews, we love the Palestinians or something, and ended up getting arrested for hate speech. We'll play you the tape of his getting contacted by the police, and what happened to him. It's an extraordinary story. You can't preach, you can't spread the Christian word without the police arresting you for hate speech. What is that about? We'll talk to Sean in half an hour or so, but for the next 30 minutes, a warm welcome to our favourite guest. It's Dial a Dame. So this is Dame Andrea Jenkins, Reform UK Mayor for Greater Lincolnshire, and I want you to get on the phone. You can ask Andrea, well, pretty much anything you like, 03444991000, but by way, welcome Andrea, by the way, by way of steering the ship, as it were, let's run through a couple of topics that I wanted to personally ask you about. First of all, your feeling about the Tory chairman Kevin Hollingworth's rather juvenile Reform Nazi jibe, comparing the new Reform logo to a Nazi swastika badge. Kemi Badenoch says, "Oh, Kev was just being funny. It's just a bit of humour." Well, I don't think it is funny. I don't think the Nazis are a funny subject for a start. Various stories have distanced themselves from Kevin. I think this requires A, an apology from Kevin Hollingworth, and B, a more serious response from Kemi Badenoch, who loves to talk about people being serious or not serious. This is not serious, Kemi, and what is not serious is your response saying, "Oh, it's just Kev having a little joke." Not good enough.
No, I completely agree with you, Kevin. I mean, look, I've known Kevin Hollingworth since 2015. We both got elected at the same time into Parliament, and he was one of the big Remainers who did actually look down on us Brexiteers, so it doesn't surprise me, the comments. But, you know, is that what he thought of me all along? You start questioning all the... I was his whip as well, actually, Kevin. I was his whip for a while. And it's just appalling, and it's trivialising the Holocaust, isn't it? And what Hitler did to the Jewish people. And so... You know, how dare he, and how dare Kemi actually trivialise it and say it's a joke? It's not a laughing matter, is it?
Well, exactly. And of course, Suella Braverman, former Home Secretary, to her credit, still a Tory MP, senior Tory MP, she said comparing Reform and their supporters to Nazis is wrong, irresponsible and highly counterproductive. Kevin does not speak for me. James Cleverly, the Shadow Housing Secretary, was on Talk this morning, on Talk Breakfast, and he told Mark Dolan, he distanced himself from the comments and said that's not what I would have said. So the Tories all basically saying that what Hollingworth did is wrong. I think it requires an apology from him and a far more serious response from Kevin Badenoch. But knowing
Kevin as I do, look, I remember him saying to me before the general election and when there was reshuffles, etc., if he didn't keep his ministerial role, he will step down. So with him, it's always been about the position of power, Kevin. It's not been about his constituents. And so I'd really, question the fact that he didn't delete it. Is Kemi part of this?
I don't know.
I mean, he is the chairman. He is the chairman. And the fact that, he deleted it initially, then put it back on again. Who told him to put it back on again?
Yeah, they got form. They've got form. Yeah, that's right. He did delete it for a while, and they've got form for this, haven't they? Did
you see his retweet as well? He retweeted somebody saying about people not having any sense of humour and that it was a joke. And look at the context of it. But the context, what, Jewish people getting murdered by Hitler and the Nazis, and actually, a Western political party like ours, which is ahead in the polls, saying that we are like Nazis, it's abhorrent. And there's no wonder that they are hemorrhaging votes.
Exactly right. And don't forget, Peter Kyle did this, didn't he, recently, trying to smear Nigel Farage by suggesting that somehow he was an apologist for Jimmy Savile. Absolutely outrageous. This is what the Tories are doing.
It doesn't show you the uni party, though, Kevin. They've both got the same attack lines, Labour and Conservative.
It's sleaze. It's sleaze. It really is. And quick comment from you, if you don't mind also, Andrew. We've got some calls lined up. We'll get to those in just a second. This nonsense, in my view, of maybe Nigel Farage said some nasty things in the playground 50 years ago, 49 years ago at Dulwich College. Only in the last hour or so, one of his former school friends, a Jewish guy called Peter Etouji, has come out and said that Farage repeatedly told him Hitler was right and gassed them and made noises like that. He basically says that this is a man who has power, influence, has had a massive impact on the direction of this country, but he is being fundamentally dishonest in everything he says there, so I feel upset and angry about it. Well, look, you know, I'm sorry that Peter Etouji still feels upset after 50 years of what happened in the playground. But really, is this the level we're going to be at? That we're going to have a go at a guy who's 61 years old for something he may or may not have done when he was 13? I was thinking about some of the things I probably did in the playground. They're probably even worse than that. You know, kids are kids, aren't they?
No, but I mean, also the fact is Nigel denies it. I mean, I've had chats with Nigel, and you know, he is very pro-Israel, pro the Jewish community. I was on the board meeting last week where he was talking about setting up groups to support the Jewish community, you know, like the equivalent of Reform Friends of Israel, etc. So it just feels a load of rubbish. The Nigel that I know is not like that. And I just find it quite remarkable. It's 50 years later and people coming out the woodwork. It's been in the political eye, hasn't he? In the public eye for 30 years. They're only coming out now as he's getting nearer to number 10. And I find that quite remarkable, actually.
Yeah, I mean, 50 years ago, come on. He was a kid. He's 61 now. I just think we've got to grow up about all of this. Now, just a quick last question before we go to the calls, Andrea. Yeah. Pauline Hanson, the Australian senator, who is calling for a banning of the burqa in Australia in order to sort of theatrically make her point. She walked into the Senate, the Australian Parliament, with a very serious all-over burqa, one of those ones where you can't see a thing. Yeah. She's done that a couple of times. She's now been suspended.
As Boris called it, the letterbox.
Yeah, the letterbox, yeah. Well, she's now been suspended from Parliament in Australia for a week. Do you think, though, that we should ban the burqa here in Britain?
Yeah. I mean, look, I wouldn't have necessarily done it in that way, but I've been saying about banning the burqa for years. I actually defended Boris's article all those years ago. And there's some public article out there, I think it was on Westminster, where I defended Boris. And I do, because it's, number one, it's the security aspect. But also, you know, joint number one really is women. We are a westernised society. What people do behind closed doors, it's up to them. But I genuinely feel that, you know, women are second-class citizens and they should be able to wear what they want. And so I am a proponent of it.
Yeah, well, I agree. I made my point very clear. I'm uncomfortable about the idea of telling women what they can and cannot wear.
Too.
But I do think we have to make a stand on this, because what does the burqa denote when it comes to women? It denotes that they're second-class citizens. And I'm not
exactly. And when you look at Iraq and Iran, what the women was like, you know, what in the 70s, they was very westernised, and look at them today. And so look at the poor Iran women today, the life that they lead. They are second-class citizens. So surely, as a Western country, we should be making a stand for these women.
I couldn't agree with you more. Right, let's go to the phones. Dial a dame. We've got lots of calls for you. And the first one, Andrea, is from Karen in Bournemouth. Welcome to the show, Karen. What would you like to ask Andrea?
Hi, Kevin. Hi, Andrea.
Hello.
Hello. I was a bit worried about this whole thing about this puberty blockers trials.
Oh, yes.
So I did a bit of research this afternoon. And I don't know much about research. It's not my speciality or anything. But the trial's going to cost $10.7 million. It's being funded by NHS England, which we were told was being abolished.
Yeah, whatever happened to that? You're right. Good point.
But the thing that worries me is that the research focus of the leader of this thing is causes and interventions for co-occurring mental health conditions in autism and ADHD and intellectual disability. Now, that sounds an awful lot like Tavistock to me, but the other thing that really worried me is that Stonewall's involved in it all.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And can I just make a point here, Karen? I would ask the same question that you're asking, but I just want to say that I find it absolutely jaw-dropping that the NHS, that the government is sponsoring this, is backing this, that we are going to perform chemical experiments on 226 children. It's pharmaceutical mutilation, if you ask me. The idea is, oh, we'll try these puberty blockers. We've tried them once before and we banned them. Last December, West Streeting, the health secretary, said, we're not going to do this anymore. If kids say they're not sure what body they were born in, if they got alleged gender dysphoria, we're not going to give them these drugs that will affect them for the rest of their lives. Suddenly, now we're going to perform experiments on 226 children. What do you think, Andrea?
Well, it's state-sponsored child mutilation, isn't it? And do you remember, I remember even in David Cameron's government, we was going strong opposing child mutilation, you know, forcing them to, young girls to have that operation on religious grounds, etc. But we are doing this with British children, and it's wrong. And I didn't realise actually about what you said about autism and ADHD. Look, I've got ADHD, my son has. But a child should never be an experiment. And why are we doing this full stop? Because to me, any child should not be having mutilation, hormone blockers. Yeah, I'd wait until there was 21 at least, where, you know, they got the maturity to make these decisions. What people do as adults, I don't care, be happy, but leave the children alone.
You give a little kid puberty blockers, and then they will never be the same again. It will change them for the rest of their lives. And the idea of this experiment, as you were saying, Karen, is to try to find out what psychological and physical effects puberty blockers may have on children going forward. And in order to find this out, we're going to take 226 kids and use them as guinea pigs.
And some as young as 10 as well.
That is, to me, that is extraordinary. It's extraordinary. Are they serious?
It's sick, isn't it? It is sick.
Yeah, Karen, what do you feel?
Well, the thing is, they're not telling us anything about Stonewall. The woman that's leading it, I find, is a bit dodgy in the psychiatric genetics at Harvard Medical School. So she's all into medicating children of all sorts of types. Yeah. But they're not mentioning the fact there's another pathways.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the pathways experiment is what we're talking about. It's for King's College.
But can I come in here as well, though? Don't forget that it was the Conservative government who brought Stonewall in. And, you know, I thought back on the stuff children was being taught at schools as well, the sex education stuff. But all this happened, didn't it, under a Conservative government initially? Yeah. And
well,
so,
I mean,
they cannot come out now and cry wolf. That's what I think.
Yeah, and the thing is also why have they not mentioned that Stonewall's very involved in it all?
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing about, you know, Stonewall always, you know, raises alarm bells when you hear their involvement. But look, this is hard and fast. 226 kids are going to get experimented upon. Yeah. And that cannot be. It doesn't really matter that much about Stonewall. It's going to happen. And that is not right. We have to stop that. You know, what are the parents thinking?
Yeah, what consultation do the parents have as well?
Well, the other thing that I found, I couldn't find confirmation of it, but somebody had said that they were also looking at children in care. Well, you think about the children in care and the grooming gangs; they weren't protected there, were they?
Well, I tell you what, Karen. I just think this is an utter scandal. I can't imagine what West Streeting thinks he's doing. When he said we're not going to give puberty blockers to kids anymore last December, he said except of course in clinical research experiments. Well, this is one such experiment. 226 kids. What about them? What about them? Leave them alone. It's a disgrace. disgrace. It's an
You know,
absolute disgrace. What sort of country is this?
Well, it's becoming a disgusting country, to be honest.
I think you might be right, yeah.
Yeah, and just one other thing on the lighter side, because I'm sure that if there's a way to stop it, you'll find a way, Andrea, because I know you're a bit stubborn.
Oh, Andrea, stop it. Don't worry about that. I'm going to make her stop it. Karen, listen, thank you for an excellent call. Got to move on, but thank you. Karen in Bournemouth making a very good point. Here's another question. This is one of my excellent callers. This is Herbie in Harrow. Hi, Herbie. What would you like to ask Andrea?
Oh, Kevin, where do we start?
Yeah. Herbie's always exasperated, but then again, aren't we all?
Oh, my goodness. Listen, we're doomed, we're finished. The country's at rock bottom. Kevin, I cannot believe we are finished. It's just beyond belief what's going on. You know, I can't believe we've got the backstabbers now, you know, going for the political leaders and things like that. Look, we all change in time. As you know, when we're kids and teenagers, we do silly things, but we grow up. I hope we learn from it. You know, this is what it's all about.
You're talking about Farage 50 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't. I mean, I'm a journalist. I get it. I know what they're doing. They're going for cheap headlines. But we're talking about a child. You know, the guy is 61 years old now. We're talking about something he's supposed to have done in the playground 49 years ago. Is it just me, or is that pretty desperate stuff?
No, Kevin, you know, this is what I'm saying. The country's completely in meltdown. It's beyond belief and almost beyond repair if we're not careful. We can't carry on like this. You know, every day there's a crisis going on. There's a dispute going on. Everything is topsy-turvy. For God's sake, we need to start to pick up and start to look at things differently. Stop backstabbing. Look, politics is a dirty business, we know, but we don't need to carry on like this because we get nothing done if this carries on this way, Kevin. It's not possible. You know.
But also, look, I agree with you. But also, let's look at Starmer. He hated the royal family. He wanted to abolish it. Do you remember that article about Starmer? On the files for communists, wasn't he, or something? So, you know, two can play that game. Let's start attacking the Prime Minister as well.
Oh, by the way, let's not forget, since we're still reeling from the useless conclusions of the useless waste of time, waste of money COVID inquiry, that Keir Starmer was leading the calls at that time during the crisis for longer, harder, more extensive lockdowns. Now everybody knows that lockdowns, maybe we shouldn't have had them at all. So just remember about Labour then. If Labour was the government during the COVID crisis, we'd probably still be locked down now. Seriously.
And look how they attacked Boris as well for saying herd immunity.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
he was right as well.
Initial reaction, wasn't it?
He was right. Listen, Herbie, good point as always. Got to go to break. Thank you very much, Herbie in Harrow. Andrea, stay where you are. We're going to go to break now. When we come back, we've got more calls for you. So this is Dial a Dame, 0344499 1000. Dame Andrea Jenkins on the phone, ready to take your questions. Give her a call.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the Talk TV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Still, it's Dial a Dame with Dame Andrea Jenkins, the Reform UK Greater Lincolnshire Mayor. Before we go back to the phones, Andrea, let me ask you this. A guy called Chris Whitbread, he's the council leader of Epping. The notorious Epping, where the Bell Hotel is full of asylum seekers, one of whom, of course, over the summer sexually assaulted 2 women, the famous Hadush Kubatu, who of course went to jail, then was accidentally released, is now back in his home country of Eritrea. Or was it Ethiopia? I can't remember. Anyway, he's home. The council leader, Chris Whitbread, has written to Keir Starmer over his crass insensitivity, of plans to send yet more asylum seekers to poor Epping, as well as the notorious Bell Hotel, where there's about 100 of them, all male. There are now new proposals which have earmarked 8 local properties to be procured as houses of multiple occupation. And Chris Whitbread has written to Starmer to say, how much more of this do you expect us to take? I mean, this is a story that's going on all over the country, isn't it? And you have to sympathise with Mr. Whitbread.
Oh, completely. And look, the British people's had enough, Kevin, and it's only going to get worse, unfortunately, under the Labour government, isn't it? I just think roll on when we finally get a general election and we can put a stop to this and put the British people first. I mean, people do not feel safe in their communities, but ultimately it's about fairness. Why should the British taxpayer be footing the bill for somebody who comes here illegally and British people are struggling? I mean, look, people are dreading what's going to come in the budget this week, aren't they?
Tomorrow,
Yeah. And so people are struggling as it is, yet they see this happening in their street. It's wrong, Kevin.
It certainly is. And, this is a town that has twice gone to court to try and get its hotel, its asylum seeker.
I mean, good on them for fighting it.
Yeah, and now they learn 8 houses, multiple occupation, so that'll work out maybe as many as about 50, 70 more migrants, more asylum seekers. They've had 2 sexual assaults already. You have to sympathise with Mr. Whitbread, who just calls these plans crass and insensitive. Let me know what you think, folks. Poor old Epping, 0344499 1000. It's Dial a Dame. Let's go back to the phones. Andrea, meet Mark from Lincolnshire. Hello, Mark. He's another regular caller. What would you like to ask Dame Andrea?
Did you say Lincolnshire, by the way?
Lincolnshire, yeah, one of your constituents.
Hiya, guys. It was just I wanted to talk about the Nigel Farage thing, and this, what he supposedly said 50 years ago. As in so much as, what an absolute load of nonsense. To be honest, I kind of wish Nigel had just come out and basically said, right, so you think I'm racist, now what? Do you think I'm going to go away? Because I'm not. But, the whole concept of this is just crazy, because you're talking about a time that was so long ago now. Attitudes were completely different. What we would call racism now was just part of society at the end of the day.
Yeah, but
you know,
But I think more to the point, Mark. He was a child. He was a schoolboy.
Well, this is it. I mean, like I said to the producer, whoever I spoke to when I rang up, you know, going back to my childhood. I mean, I'm 51. I grew up. I remember vague parts.
We're the same age, Mark.
Right. Well,
I'm a bit older.
Like you, our main childhood was the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Now, back up in the north.
Oh, we had humour then, didn't we? And we had sitcoms,
yeah.
comedies, what you could laugh at, couldn't you? And take the mickey out of each other. Yeah.
Well, absolutely. But the point I want to make, to basically highlight how things have changed and why this is just a non-story for me, you know, back in those days, like in the 80s, there was a local shop. Every town had one of these local shops. And it was an Asian man that ran that local shop. And I can guarantee you 100% of everybody that lived there called that the pea shop. Everybody called it that. Anybody that says they didn't is lying. I mean, the irony was he was actually Indian, you know, but it was quite, you know.
Well, I mean, I get your point, Mark, but I do think it's far more relevant. Yes, those were different times. Yes, there were different attitudes that I think largely we wouldn't approve of today. But I think the essence of why this is ridiculous is because Nigel Farage is being vilified for something he may or may not have done in the bloody school playground when he was a child. He's 61 years old now. This is absurd.
The fact that it's coming out now shows it's politically motivated.
Yeah,
this is the thing.
Yeah, go on.
It's you know, this guy that's come out and made his statement from his recollection.
Yeah.
What? Seriously? You know, you're seriously trying to make me believe that you can remember clearly something.
Yeah, I tell you that's a bit odd. I tell you, people do not remember things that clearly. I agree with that. Yeah. But I tell you, and Andrea will understand this. This is what is so. What's the word? Annoying, if you like, about this situation. Whilst Nigel Farage understands the absurdity of it, when people are making vague accusations about Nazism, fascism, the Holocaust, even if you're talking about 50 years ago when he was a kid, if Nigel is not careful, this could blow up in his face. He's in a very difficult situation over something that he doesn't deserve to be in a difficult situation over.
And it's all because he's edging closer to number 10.
Exactly. Yeah. The closer he gets, the worse it's going to get.
It is going to get worse. It'll be on steroids.
Yeah, it's the classic. You know, it's exactly what they were doing with Trump. All this stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That's a good analogy. Yeah, they did it to him, and we've got this other story going on today. You know, the game of the opposition parties, the Guardian, the BBC, the Tories, Labour, is to try to ally the Reform UK party to Nazis. So what have we got? Kevin Hollingworth, the Tory chairman, saying, "Oh look, Reform's new logo looks like a Nazi swastika badge." They know exactly what they're doing when they say, "It was just a joke. It was just a joke." It wasn't, was it?
It's drip feeding, isn't it? It's drip feeding. Do the shock factor. Do it so much from all different media and politicians, and then people get used to that rhetoric and start believing. That is the issue. I mean, it's calculated.
This will only get worse as we get closer to an election. You know, exactly. This will just intensify.
It will get worse, but I think you know, there was a poll today that came out that in the city in London, the support for reform has absolutely surged. So I think the people, they look at this nonsense and they go, I still like what Nigel Farage stands for. I still like what Reform stands for, and their rise and rise continues apace. Mark, got to move on. Thanks for a good call as always. Should we have a last call? This is another one of my favourite callers. This is Tarquin from London, who wants to talk about the BBC. It'd be good to get your view on that, Andrea. Hi, Tark. Talk to Dame Andrea.
3, 2. I'm an insomniac. I'm an insomniac. I'm having a.
Hey, you sing it better than me, Tarquin.
Well, actually, I'm going to have to take issue with you there, Andrea. He doesn't. Tarquin, ask a question.
I've just been watching you on YouTube. Brilliant. You're like you should have been in ABBA. That was yeah. Sounds like ABBA to me. Well done, girl.
It was brilliant.
I do sing ABBA, by the way. I do like ABBA. Yeah.
Really
that's why
good.
I like
Do
the
album.
catsuit thing.
Anyway, Yeah, back to your question, Kevin. What I was really peeved me off earlier on, you always get my mind, my grey matter go, you do, because you're so brilliant.
I know.
Was about that BBC thing about that Shah character. Is he the BBC chairman?
Yeah, he's the chairman, yeah.
Yeah. And you sort of asked the rhetorical question of, why was he trying to keep Tim Davie and of all those cretinous morons? And why? And I think the simple answer, possibly, is that Davie represented a buffer between him and professional oblivion himself. So he needs
sort of. Let me ask Andrea what she thinks about this. Look, you saw Shah before the Culture Committee yesterday. One of 3 BBC types, but Samir Shah, the chairman, important. He said that he desperately tried to persuade Tim Davie to stay, not to resign. Why? The guy was a Keystone cop. Everything he ever did went wrong. Scandal to crisis to scandal to crisis, and he handled every single one of them really, really badly. Why did he say that? He also went on to say the BBC is not institutionally biased. Unless we can get that organisation to admit, to look into the mirror and say, we do have a bias problem, then we're never going to cure the problems of our state broadcaster. Do you agree with me, and I suspect Tarquin, Andrea, that Samir Shah, the chairman, must go?
Oh, completely. And look, Davie was like Teflon, wasn't he? He was taking the heat for
not in the end,
wasn't he? Yeah. But that's what he was. That's why they kept him there. But yeah, of course the chairman needs to go. All the top levels need to be gone. A fresh sweep and defund it and let them fight for every viewer and let them fight for every penny, really, and start producing programmes that people watch.
Yeah, exactly. It is that they are like trapped in their own sort of bubble, and they will not accept everyone outside the BBC going, you've got a bias problem, you're institutionally anti-Israel, you have a weird way of covering trans issues, climate change, you are absolutists, you're propagandists on climate change, and all of this, everybody saying it, particularly about the Jewish issue, the way they're anti-Israel, pro-Palestine, and the BBC basically goes, no, don't hear any of that.
And don't forget the gender stuff. I mean, did the BBC who said 100 genders?
Yeah, I mean, they enshrine that. They enshrine, their climate change. They're basically propagandists on climate change and so on and so forth. They don't. But no matter how many of us scream from the rooftops, experienced observers, commentators, you've got a problem here. They will not listen. And if Samir Shah is going to be a protector and apologist for this nonsense, then he has to go too.
But also, Kevin, when I was a Tory MP, I met with quite a number of Secretary of State's culture secretaries and said it was in the Conservative manifesto to defund it. Why is it not happening?
Yeah.
And it just felt that the culture secretaries were also caught by the blob and wouldn't do it. And, it's got to happen. Yeah. Why did the Conservatives not deliver it? I did it with spoke to the last 2 culture secretaries at least.
Samir Shah says his very important job now is to choose, to help to choose the next Director General. Do we trust Samir Shah to do that job? I don't. What do you think, Andrea?
No, it's like all the public sector. It's tick boxing and getting people who they want.
It's right. It's a little cult. It's a little club. Listen, Tarquin, thanks for another great call as always. Andrea, we could do this all night. I got thousands of calls for you, but I'm going to have to move on. What a shame. Dial a Dame is such a smash hit, and always a serious pleasure to have you on the show. Dame Andrea Jenkins there, Reform Mayor for Greater Lincolnshire. Wasn't she great as well? Got some good guests tonight, haven't I? And the next one I think is going to be very good as well. His name is, credit to the family, as I said earlier, Sean O'Sullivan. He's a Christian preacher. Got done for hate speech. Got accused of hate speech because apparently he said as a Muslim family were walking past him on the streets of Swindon, I believe it was, he said something along the lines of, we love the Jews, we love the Palestinians. Got done for hate speech. We'll show you all of that story and talk to Sean when we come back. Stay tuned.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Really glad to welcome to the show my next guest. He is a Christian street preacher. A credit to my family. I keep making that joke, but I'm never going to tire of it. He is Sean O'Sullivan. Sean, are you there?
I'm here. How are you?
Good to have you on the show, Sean. Well, let's run through your story. There you are. In Swindon, your hometown, and you are preaching on the street the Christian word. As I understand it, a Muslim family happened to be walking past at the point where you said something along the lines of, "We love the Jews, we love the Palestinians, may God be with you," or something like that. And then they apparently reported you to the police for hate speech. I'm not quite sure what the basis of this, but before we talk, Sean, I believe we've got footage of the moment the police told you about your alleged offence.
Well,
hang on, let's have a look at it.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that if it's going to cause distress, and it depends what context why you would say that to someone.
So you're the police telling me that saying "God bless you" can cause someone distress?
Okay, but if you were to say that to someone who, for example, is a Muslim, and if you're going into their face and then saying that to them, knowing that they have their own beliefs, then yes, that is.
And you work for the police?
Yeah, of course.
So the police are saying that it's a crime to say "God bless you" to someone.
Sean, you wouldn't get arrested if it wasn't causing distress to other people.
So you're saying, for legal purposes, that it's a crime?
If it's causing distress, then yeah.
What's your name, please?
We don't give our surnames, but I've got my shoulder number.
Can we have your shoulder number, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
So, Sean, that's extraordinary. And you were arrested for anti-social behaviour, is that right?
Yeah, antisocial behaviour, racism, aggravated racism.
Antisocial behaviour and aggravated racism for saying God bless the Jews, God bless the Palestinians, God bless you.
Yep, that's the state of what the country's become.
Sorry to laugh, because it's not funny what happened. You ended up in court. You've just been acquitted. How long did the case take?
6 days.
6 days. Which court were you in, Sean?
Swindon Crown Court. It's not my first rodeo, because I've actually been arrested 16 times for freedom of speech.
Well, let's talk about this one. The case against you fell apart because didn't they try to allege that what you'd said was, God bless the Jews, to Jew haters and Palestine lovers, or something like that, which you didn't say, as I understand it.
Yes, they walked into the middle of a discussion and just heard briefly one thing, which was instigated by the call handler logging it as a hate crime. It's not the first time that the police force here, they come at preachers all the time. It's quite a common theme now for people to be silenced for just preaching.
So we think this case cost, I think this is a very conservative estimate, at least £20,000 to the taxpayer. You were in court for 6 days. And all you said was, God bless the Jews, God bless you, God bless the Palestinians, right?
Yep, that's right.
And these people reported you for a kind of form of hate speech, racially aggravated antisocial behaviour. For that?
Yeah, they thought it was directed at them because I might have looked in their direction as I was publicly preaching to a town in Swindon.
But even if you did, what is wrong with saying, God bless the Jews, God bless the Palestinians?
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. We've come it's such a crazy time now in this country. You can't even sneeze without someone being offended. You can't tweet or post anything But this nation has real problems that need dealing with, not someone preaching God. And how far have we become?
I mean, how did you feel that we just watched the phone call that you got from the police? I mean, you said you've been arrested before for for alleged freedom of speech offences, so you know what's going on. But you must have been a bit shocked by this one.
This one was, I think this is an absolute embarrassment to the CPS that this even got through. I mean, how did that get through? CPS, who's making these decisions?
And in what way was your defence successful? What did your lawyers or your lawyer argue in your defence?
CCTV. I wasn't even looking in the direction. It was just, I think he said, he might have said, we have to defend the cause in the phone calls.
So the copper, that female police officer, was confirming to you in that call, we just heard it, that when you said, God bless you, that could indeed be a crime, that people who were not Christians might find offence at that. Now, you know, I know perhaps Muslims have a different name for God, but God, isn't he? You know,
yes.
he's Allah, he's God, he's whatever religion, Buddha, whatever your religion is. Really, would a serious, sensible Muslim be offended by the fact you said, God bless you?
Not if they had a brain cell about them. I don't know how you can take that as an offensive statement. And if you're offended, that's not actually a crime. We need to grow up in this country and stop being offended by absolutely everything.
And tell me about you've had similar ordeals, if you like. You've been arrested 16 times for freedom, and this is because you're a street preacher.
Well, I'm a pastor of a church in Swindon, Awaken International Church.
Right.
I've been arrested, put before the courts numerous times.
For spreading the word, for spreading the Christian word.
Yeah, I've never ever once been found guilty, nowhere near it.
So hang on, every time you get arrested, this is because you stand on the street and, you know, you preach about your religion.
So
you preach
someone says I'm offended and the police say, okay, let's arrest him. You know, the police force in Wiltshire especially, they are literally, if someone says, I have a video actually, it says, if someone makes a complaint against you, I will arrest you.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And I'm just looking, by the way, I like this. This is amusing. So after, how long did you say? 6 days. 6 days at Swindon Crown Court. I tell you what, this case cost more than £20,000. A 6-day case, a lot more than that, 120,000 more like. Anyway, the jury almost instantly, unanimously threw out the latest case against you of racial and religious harassment in just 90 minutes, and that included their lunch break.
Yeah, well, they went for their Greggs or wherever they went.
Yeah.
And they come back, and within, you know, it didn't take long. It's not hard to. It should never have gone that far.
Why is it, Sean, that you saying, you know, God bless you? Why is that in any way racist or allegedly racist?
It's nowhere near racist. It's not even about colour. It's nothing. It's just, I think. The programming, I think the wokeness in this country, I think the way this country is going, I think that we live in a very, very offended generation, not the generation my granddad grew up in, and not the churches. The churches are pretty much silent about standing up for truth. The leaders don't know what they're doing. The leaders are promoting absolute rubbish. Our nation is in big, big trouble, and it needs restoring.
Well, on the basis of your case, I couldn't agree more. And you know, let's just regroup. What you do? You're obviously a devout follower of Christianity. You go out on the streets and you preach your faith. That is a freedom of speech issue, isn't it? You should be allowed to stand there and say what I assume you're doing. You're standing there. And you're saying, in essence, listen to me if you want to, But if you
Yeah,
don't
it's up
want
to you.
to, it's up to you. That's freedom of speech, and yet the police keep coming down on you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, and I was actually that guy that used to shout at Christians preaching. I don't come from a Christian background by no means. And it's just, you know, if you're offended at something, anyone could be offended at something. It's not a crime to be offended. And I'm really praying for the police. They've really made my life difficult. Friends, John Kamak has been attacked because of this. People have been attacked. They've branded me in the paper as a racist. My family have lived in hell because of this.
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to go back to you saying, well, we just heard it, you saying, wait a minute, are you saying that me saying God bless you is a crime? And she says, if it causes distress, if that person was a Muslim, they might be distressed. So basically, she's saying it could well be a crime. I don't think she's right. I don't think she's right.
But she's really wrong, and this is the issue I have with PC FAPA. They're always trying to find a way to arrest me for preaching what is not a crime or even nowhere near offensive. And I don't know what it will take for the police in Swindon to just leave me alone and to stop harassing me, arresting me. And, you know, I've been beaten up for preaching. I've been put in hospital for preaching. This is out there. This is fact. You just research my name. And what is going on?
Do you think that the police, has this become a sort of vendetta against you, do you think?
It's a massive vendetta. It's to the point where I was put in hospital. It's to the point where I go out, I can't preach. People call, they ban me 4 times from the town centre, and every time I get in front of a judge, he overturns it.
They banned you from the town centre?
4 times. My nan died in 2020. I couldn't even go to the hospital because I was banned from going to the train station, the bus station. This is disgusting. This country, whether you're a Christian or not a Christian, when our country had the Bible in schools, when we had the principles of the Bible in this country, it was a better place.
Yeah, and you're being backed by the Christian Legal Centre, who we have a good relationship with, great organisation. Andrea Williams, the Chief Executive of the Christian Legal Centre, which supported your case, said Sean's case highlights the dangers of policing hate incidents based on perception alone. We must ensure that robust public debate, especially on matters of Christian faith, is not silenced. It is your legal right, is it not, to go into a public place and to preach your faith. That's a freedom of speech issue, isn't it?
It's definitely targeting my freedom of speech. It's well within my rights to do it. And even if someone doesn't agree with the same, they have a right to stand and preach what they believe, whether I disagree or not.
And I'm sensing, Sean, that you have no intention of stopping.
No, I'm not stopping. And to be branded a racist as a pastor, the co-pastor of us is a Nigerian man, Tony Dixon. I have Welsh people in the church. I have all nations in our church. So it's been absolutely, our church has been victimized, and I'm shocked by the response of the church and many people to stand up. But I understand why a lot of people are not standing up, because when they stand up, you end up like me, arrested constantly for standing up.
So just to basically sum up, I mean, people like you know, well, your case is you're a devout Christian, you're a pastor, you want to preach your religion, and that is your right to do on a public place. If people don't want to listen to you, they don't have to, right?
You don't have to. You can walk away. You know, I choose. There's many things that offend me, and I just walk. It's called being a grown-up.
Yeah.
You just walk away, or you go, oh, I don't really like that. Carry on with your day.
Are you going to go out tomorrow?
I'm going out every day, so I got responsibility. I do a lot of work with the homeless. I've got a few knives off the streets of Britain, helped a few people that were drug dealers who are now currently in rehab. My whole life is committed. My family's life's committed. I'm a father of 4 children. I have a beautiful wife, Miriam. I have a lovely brother who comes out with me, Joe. You know, I'm going out whether people keep arresting me. I'm not stopping my freedom of speech. My people in these countries all around the world, they're persecuted. In North Nigeria, it's horrendous persecution. In Britain, I'm standing up for what is right. I'm going to preach, whether it offends you or not, I'm going to carry on.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sean, I'm going to make this cheap joke once again. You are a credit to the O'Sullivan family. Great to talk to you. Take care now. That is Sean O'Sullivan, Christian preacher. Come on, that's ridiculous. Why can't he preach his religion, his faith? Well, the police keep arresting him. Leave him alone. The cases keep collapsing. What is going on? As Sean says, what is going on in this country? 0344 499 1000. Let's go to break.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, we ran over with Sean O'Sullivan, then the street preacher who has so many problems with the police, keeps getting arrested, just been through a 6-day trial for preaching his faith in a public place. So we ran over a bit. Let's get a quick call in. Let's talk to Stephen in London. Hello, Stephen.
Hi, Kevin. By making the law, making it so that you break the law if you offend someone, you made the law totally subjective.
Yeah.
It's impossible to know whether you've broken the law or will break the law, because it's impossible to know what's going to offend.
You're exactly right, Stephen. This is a real problem, this idea that if someone takes offence, then it becomes an offence. It shouldn't be that case. The police have a big load of questions to answer on this. They seem to think, if I phone up and say, oh, I'm just saying something and it really offended me, what they should say is, I'm sorry, there is no law to protect you against being offended. You have no right to not be offended. There isn't a law here, and yet they go round and they arrest people like Sean O'Sullivan. You're right. Being offended is no big deal. You should not be arrested for offending people, right?
Exactly. And you can't have laws which people can't comprehend whether they're going to be broken or not. It's only in the subjective mind of other people whether you've broken the law. completely unworkable.
Yeah, but it is this business. The police have sort of sanctified people being offended. Oh, if somebody was offended, let's go and arrest people. Let's stick them in court. Oh, they offended someone. It's not an offence to offend people. None of us have the right not to be offended. There is no legal protection for offence. I'm not encouraging it. It's not nice to be offended. It's not nice to offend people, but it's not against the law. It's not a legal issue. You're quite right, Stephen. Good call. Thank you very much, Stephen in London there. Let me know what you think about this, because I'm going to be taking calls around about 9:30. 0344 499 1000. In the meantime, we're going to go to the news in just a little while, and after that it is time for the great Kinsey Schofield. She'll be joining me all the way from Los Angeles after the 9 o'clock news. We've got lots to talk about. Meghan, she sort of walks off with a dress, it seems like, and she calls it archiving. Other people might call it theft. I don't know. We better talk about that later. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back now for the next half an hour or so, 25 minutes. I'm really thrilled to say I'll be spending it in the company of Kinsey Schofield. But just to let you know, before we go over to LA to talk to Kins, I'll be taking your calls as soon as she's finished. So 9:25 or so, 0344 499 1000. A hate crime, antisocial, racially aggravated behaviour for preaching your religion on the streets of Swindon. His religion, Sean O'Sullivan, the man who was arrested, the man who went through a 6-day court case, was Christianity, which last time I looked was the official religion of this country. What on earth is going on? Why was he arrested? Why did he end up in court? 6-day trial. He was acquitted, of course. Why are the police arresting preachers on the streets? Why are they doing this? 0344 499 1000. Right, let's go over to the host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered, Kinsey Schofield. Hi, Kins.
Hi, Kev. I think we have some pretty exciting stories today.
Oh, well, yes. Now, you've just alerted me to something very, very exciting because we need to get on to, in a little while, the issue of the dress. Exactly what happened to it. But you've just alerted me because the Duchess of Sussex, the difficult Duchess, has for a few days been saying, I have a very, very exciting announcement coming up. We've all been on the edge of our seats. What will it be? What will it be? What is Meghan going to tell us? Honestly, I haven't been able to sleep or anything. Well, come on then, Kinsey. We now know. What is it? What is it?
Meghan Markle is accepting full responsibility for she's giving 20% off at asever.com, so you can only afford her $50 flower
That's
sprinkles.
That's it. The 20% off everything as ever going forward towards Christmas. It's like a pre-Christmas sale, is that it?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a Black Friday deal, which everyone is doing, and so you can get the same products that Meghan Markle is shilling at your local supermarket or on Amazon for like 75% off because you know she's already overpriced all of her items.
So let me get this straight. So before this fantastic 20% off offer, you know, if, for example, you buy some of her honey, and that was $28, you know, 20 quid or something. Now that honey will only be, what, about $20, something like that. $20 now for the honey, or you could go to your local grocery store and pick up a jar for about $4, right?
That is factual. That is factual information.
Great, fantastic.
I mean, yeah, this is something she does to us pretty regularly. She oversells and underdelivers when it comes to promotion, and when it comes to building herself up and us being disappointed by her in general. It's a typical Tuesday for her when it comes to overpromising and under-delivering.
And what do you think this means in terms of as ever generally? I mean, you know...
it's Black Friday. I mean, that's what we do in the States on Friday.
No, we have it here as well. We have it here as well, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, I think that she is... I wish I could tell you I think that there's some deeper meaning here and that as ever is on the way out, but I'd say a bigger sign of that is Netflix opting not to stock products of Meghan's in their Netflix house pop-ups. And then we also had a recent article in the Daily Mail about one of their journalists traveling to Godmother's bookstore to look at Meghan Markle's pop-up. And while that journalist said there were a few people sniffing the candles and taking a peek.
The $64 candles.
The $64 candles.
Cheap.
Yeah, she didn't see anybody take anything to the counter. She didn't pursue an actual purchase. And when she asked the sales associate what Meghan's #1 product was, what she sold the most of at Godmother's, the sales associate was clueless and said, I don't know, I guess jam. So I'd say that proves to us that there are not that many transactions happening associated with the As Ever products, because as a sales associate, you should know if that product is flying off the shelves, exactly what, is popular or trending.
Well, I just want to tell everybody, don't get killed in the rush, but now you can get yourself a pot or a jar of Meghan honey for just over $20. Wow, what a bargain, what a bargain.
Yeah. But, in the state of California, the second you're hit with those taxes, you're like, I didn't really save a dime.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's just that these prices that she charges for mundane domestic products are just bizarre. That business cannot last. It can. Let me tell you, this time next year, I don't think there'll be special offers by As Ever, because I don't think As Ever will exist. As I keep making this joke, I really like it. In the words of George Michael, for As Ever, this is Last Christmas. Now, let's move on. Let's talk about the extraordinary story of the $1,695 green dress. Now, this story, folks, dates back to 2022 when Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, did a photo shoot to pose on the cover of Variety magazine. So there she is. She did this. That's the gown. It appears. It's just appeared in her promo for the holiday special of With Love Meghan, probably the last ever Meghan production you'll see on Netflix at Christmas. Now, 2022, she was given this to put on for this photo shoot, and basically the story is New York Post on its famous gossip page 6 reporting yesterday, I believe it was, that she walked off with it. She just walked off with it. And she's been confronted with this, basically saying, as we say in Britain, did you nick that dress? Did you steal it? Did you steal it? And her people have said, oh, no. It's all part of, and I quote, archiving her clothes as a royal. So
well, it gets worse because they've talked to People magazine, as one does.
Okay.
There's been a new statement to People magazine.
Okay, what is it? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, yes, we do have to dissect the fact that someone tried to justify this by saying that they archived her clothes, and the People magazine response is similar. So I do think it's fair if we continue to dissect that statement. But People magazine, we're told by Meghan's spokesperson, the insinuation that any items were taken without the full knowledge and agreement of the on-set stylist or their respective teams is not only categorically false, but also highly defamatory.
Okay, fair enough.
Any items kept were done so in total transparency and in accordance with contractual arrangements, which is an odd direction to go when the Kardashians are accusing you of lying about a contract, last week. So is this contract similar to the one that the Kardashians have, which they say is non-existent? According to a source, brace yourself for this, Kevin, it's standard for talent to retain select items from photo shoots, sometimes for security reasons, including to prevent a potential resale or unauthorized auction.
Yeah.
Clothing worn by members of the royal family and other public figures has been targeted for resale in the past, making the practice both common and precautionary. So basically, Meghan saying, I hate my diehard fans that would want to buy something I wore. I mean, she's blaming the fans that would want to buy something she wore?
So let's get this straight. Let's be fair to Meghan. She definitely 100%, we've got the statement, she definitely 100% did not walk away with this dress. She didn't steal it. She archived it. Yeah? She archived it. She didn't steal it. She archived it. So we've got that straight then. No theft, no walking away. She archived it. Yeah? And there it was on the promo.
Yeah. Exactly. Like
3 years later. 3 years later. So she's got it out of archiving and put it on for the Christmas promo for With Love Meghan. That's good, isn't it? Nice bookend of the story.
Right. Well, I was thinking about this. I will be fair. I did think she likely thought that the headlines would be how relatable it was that she re-wore an outfit. In the same way that we do have this conversation around the Princess of Wales, we'll be like, oh, that's so sweet. The last time she wore that outfit, she was on a red carpet with Prince William. But there were reports that have been generated for years now that she allegedly took things off the set of the Variety shoot without Variety's permission. The initial claim was made in 2024 on Andrew Gold's Heretics podcast that she did not return a lot of stuff after she wore, it for a very high profile photo shoot that we believe is Variety. And so, no, we're not going to respond in the same way when there were reports that you took something that didn't belong to you.
Exactly right, and we must go with what she says. You know that she was archiving, and that it's quite normal for this sort of thing to happen. And to be seriously, it isn't uncommon for celebrities and stars when they do photo sessions. If they like the clothes, they very often say, "Oh, I like that," and they'll be allowed to take them away. So what she did, I mean, depending on what she actually did, it isn't actually that outrageous in the wonderful world of showbiz, but it does seem that she got this gown, this 1700 green dress, shoulderless strap dress, for free.
For free 99. I think that the issue, though, is, Kev, you know, Meghan has a conflict because she wants to be treated like a royal, and she does not want to act like a royal. A royal does not accept freebies. A royal, if they received gifts at the palace, if somebody sends something unsolicited, a designer that's trying to, you know, make a name for themselves, it's returned to sender immediately. And that was one of Meghan's biggest issues. You know, Meghan, who used to sit on her laptop in Toronto and email Bobbi Brown Cosmetics and say, please send me free makeup and I'll blog about it. You know, this woman that has pursued this influencer life where you do receive free product and then you brag about getting whatever PR package you did, was having to return items because now she was a duchess. And Tina Brown writes about this in the Palace Papers, how angry Meghan was that she couldn't keep the items that were sent to her at the palace. She wanted to keep everything, and the palace said that's not protocol. You know, we will handpick certain designers, and there are messages and meanings behind everything you wear to support the economy, to support, you know, local artists. And you know, this is it. Meghan wants to be an influencer and show up at a photo shoot and take the clothes in the same way Lindsay Lohan did. And keep in mind, she was accused of doing this in Toronto when she had a photo shoot there. She had a terrible reputation after that photo shoot of being a diva on the set. And Tom Bauer says that she took off with a pair of shoes that we occasionally still see her in, allegedly. But, you know, she wants to be treated like a duchess and announced, you know, in a New York brownstone that doesn't even belong to her. But she wants to act like an influencer. And I think that the public is just sick of the entitlement.
Well, in this interview, which she's just done in Harper's Bazaar, which you and I have talked about before, but a few more excruciating details from it, she talks about acquiring a level of fame that is irrevocable. I'm not quite sure what that means. The question becomes, what does one woman do with that amount of power and tricky sort of influence? Well, Meghan, you're going to find out. Being famous is one thing, but being popular can be another thing. If you're very famous but you're not popular, you will find you don't have a whole load of influence. So she seems to be not understanding that fame is a very nuanced thing. Some people are famous and popular, other people are famous and not very popular, and those who are not popular don't tend to be that successful when it comes to influencing. But I wanted to ask you about this. She says in this interview, we've discussed many elements of it, but this, we know what this is all about, don't we? One of the straps on this interview is, after years of others attempting to fit into their narratives, she is now pursuing a life and career that feel authentic to her and her alone, and allowing herself to enjoy it too. Why doesn't she talk about herself a bit more?
Well,
does she have any other topics apart from herself?
No, like that's my thing. When Oprah said silence or silenced, you know, Meghan has had 5 years to say anything meaningful and has yet to say anything of value. It's always her regurgitating the same soap stories and the same, you know, Rodney King story that she tells not only in this magazine, but in the Netflix series.
Can I say something about that? You know, she's gone about, oh, I remember the ash and the smoke in the air, and as you were saying to me earlier today, she wasn't anywhere near any of that. I just want to say, folks, just for the record, I was near that. I was in the middle of it. I was downtown. I was in LA South Central. I was where the riots were really going on, so I can tell that story. I don't think she can. I'm not, you know, you had to be...
And the reason why people in LA are upset about that is not only is she trying to tell the story, but she's trying to make it her origin story.
Yeah.
And people in LA are like, you can't insert yourself in this. This has nothing to do with you. You were in your sweet little Catholic school, you know, probably playing tree number 3 in Snow White. I don't know. But you were well protected and loved as a child in a safe middle class to upper middle class neighborhood.
Exactly right. Let's talk a little bit about Harry. Now, Harry's off to Canada, where he's going to be making a speech about leadership and service on December the 1st up in Toronto. Keeps going to Toronto, doesn't he? This is a speech he's going to be making to realtors, as they say in America, but estate agents, as we call them here in Britain. So these are property people, but he won't be talking about real estate. He'll be talking about service and leadership. I'm so sorry I can't be there. I'm sure that people will be crushed in the turnstiles trying to get in. What does he know, A, about service, except for running away from it, as in his royal service? So he ran away from that. He had a duty to perform a service for his family, for his country. He ran away from that. He preferred to go to California to smoke joints. And what does he know about leadership?
Well, nothing. I mean, that's the quick answer. But this is exactly what the royal family was concerned about when it came to Harry and Meghan pitching them the half in, half out route and future. The royal family needs to be seen as community driven, and it needs to be seen as elevating causes that are meaningful and, you know, leaving the world better than they found it. Okay. And Harry and Meghan are so self-serving. Harry is showing up at a Toronto Hilton and cashing a very big paycheck to just be there, because you and I know that he has nothing of value to share. He just wants, you know, he's just there so that this company can say Prince Harry was there, and a couple of people can snap some pictures and they can get the PR that they've always dreamt of.
And he's, as you say, he'll be getting a fat fee for this. Let's dwell for a second, because you and I laughed about this earlier. This is what the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, remember this, I'm talking about Prince Harry, folks. This is what he's billed at this conference by an organisation called Aurea up in Toronto on December the 1st. This is what he's billed as. Humanitarian, mental health advocate, environmentalist and military combat veteran. His work is dedicated to creating positive and lasting change for communities and the planet, particularly in advancing conversations around resilience and healing.
Yes, I'm wondering if he'll be wearing his Nazi costume when he gets on that stage. Because he's not necessarily somebody that I associate with when I think of resilience and healing. He has spent the last few years so ungrateful to, you know, for the platform his family gave him and the way, you know, the position he was born into, which no matter what he says is a blessing. He's a Nepo baby, and he's just been so vengeful and bitter. And, you know, I'm reading Diana Rama, or, you know, the Diana Panorama book.
Yeah.
And they're gone so heavily into the grief that Prince William, and I forgot about this, the grief that Prince William communicates after that investigation, and Prince William going as far as saying, this is not enough. You don't realize how damaging this was to my family, to me, to my mother. And you know where Prince Harry runs off to have a little hissy fit because he loses his court case about security? The BBC. I mean, this guy,
exactly.
No loyalty, he can't teach me about leadership. He can't teach me about service. He will go to the highest bidder. He has no moral compass whatsoever. And you know what? He's just chasing another buck because he's got to purchase his next bowl.
Yeah. Now, exactly right. I totally agree. What does he know about service? What does he know about leadership? He's never really been a leader. Now, I told you that I covered the, well, it was big time, covered the Rodney King riots, and I'm a very, very serious reporter. This is as, you know, Pico, this is that as it was exploding, literally catching on fire. And there I am. Taking
my gosh.
There I am, taking it very, very seriously. That was the Rodney King riots, folks.
And there's what kills me is like Meghan Markle trying to make the Rodney King riots about her is absolutely insane. In her little pigtails, sitting in her Catholic school, like, you know, safe and sound. Get out of here. It's this constant rewriting of history that is exhausting.
Yeah, see, is but that was a proper reporter there. And by the way, I'm looking to the left there. I don't know if you remember it, but one of the great tragedies, I'm being really facetious here, of the Rodney King riots was the India's Oven there, which was one of the few very good curry houses in Los Angeles, and that went up in smoke. And that's an electronic station across the road there, where when I've got more time, I'll tell you about what happened to me there, which was really kind of bizarre. But yes, I was there. So yes, Harry, let's go back to Harry.
Well, no, we need to go back to Meghan, because just looking at those images, it reminds me of the George Floyd riots. And that's when Meghan swoops into American media and decides to make her departure from the royal family about race. She was race baiting, and she knew that the country was in such a delicate place culturally, and she tried to take advantage of that. She's trying to take advantage of it again with the Rodney King storyline. Kevin, it's sick. It's truly sick, and you wonder what the mental process is that she can justify that behavior.
Yeah, and to be, you know, that was me being silly at the riots, but to be serious for a second, I did witness it every day. I was right down there, and for her to be cashing in on the tragedy of what happened then, it's not right. It's just not right. Don't use that as a tool to promote yourself. That was a story of human tragedy. It really, really was. I was there. So yes, Harry, last point about Harry, off to Canada to make his speech. As I say, he's lost, isn't he? He's lost. He's going to Toronto to make a speech to estate agents, to real estate people. I mean,
cash for access, basically. Now
that's kind of sad, isn't it?
It's his future if Meghan's as ever doesn't expand in the way that she tries to tell us.
In other words, it is his future.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to have to show up at stuffy conferences and talk to a room full of people that sell car insurance. And, you know, it's not going to be a very romantic future for him. But you know what? Talk to Bill Simmons from Spotify. Harry had every opportunity in the world, but he lacks creativity and a work ethic.
I think you're right, and he's not a leader, and he doesn't know anything about service. Kinsey, fantastic to talk to you. Have a fabulous weekend. That's the brilliant Kinsey Schofield of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. I did her podcast today. Recollections may vary. That'll be out soon, so if you want to hear more of me and Kins together, a magnificent cocktail, I'm sure you'll agree, then you can tune into that as well. Let's go to break. When we come back, I'll take some of your calls. Well, lots of calls. We've got until 10 o'clock. Read some of your messages and play some of your WhatsApp voice notes. So stick around, folks.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
It's Petri Hoskin at 10 p.m. She'll take you through till 1 a.m. into the small hours. 3 hours of fantastic broadcasting. Hope you enjoy that. Don't forget to give her a ring, 03444 991 In the meantime, I've got lots of voice notes, lots of calls to get through. So let's play a WhatsApp voice note first. We've got loads on Nigel Farage and his childhood. So here's Perry on that very subject.
Hello, Kevin. With all these politicians and this guy calling the Reform Party Nazis, all they're doing is completely watering down the meaning. I mean, basically what they're saying is the Nazis weren't too bad, they just had a different political view of everyone else. That's basically what they're saying. I mean, I've listened to quite a few of the Reform conferences, and I just don't get the comparison.
I think it's a really good point. You bandy around the insult Nazis as an insult. Oh, that person's slightly right of censor. He's or she's a Nazi. Oh, that person's, votes Tory. Hey, fascist, Nazi. Perry's exactly right. It completely undermines the use of that word, and also it's insulting because the Nazis it's not a name to bandy around like a playground insult like Kevin Hollingrake did today. Wrong. Let's talk to Georgina, the great Georgina in London. Hello, Georgina.
Good evening, Kevin. Before I talk about Nigel, I was listening to that gentleman, the preacher Sean,
yes,
and he said, absolutely, I was absolutely flabbergasted when I heard him. But, I mean, the many times I've been out, if I've been shopping, which is, I do go shopping occasionally.
Good.
And someone sneezed, and I say, as a matter, of instinct, I say, God bless you.
Yes.
Would that be classed as hate speech if someone took umbrage? Could I be arrested for that?
Well, but judging by what happened to Sean O'Sullivan, yes, you could. Seems the mere mention of the word God or God bless apparently is potentially a hate crime. The police have got to stop doing this. They've got this thing about Christians. They've got this thing about Christian preachers that somehow or other they cause offence. They don't. If you don't want to listen to them, don't. But it's their right.
Or if this country doesn't suit and you don't like what you're hearing and what you're seeing, then please go home.
Yeah, for God's sake, yeah.
I want to say about Nigel. Nigel's had everything, bar the kitchen sink thrown at him from all the opposing parties. This is sheer desperation on their part because they know that he will definitely be the next Prime Minister. They're terrified and they're clutching at straws. When opposing parties cannot attack your politics, Kevin, they attack the person itself.
Yeah.
And that's a classic case of what's happening here. It's schoolyard tactics. But after saying that, it was taken a serious step further when Nigel's security was cut by 75%. That takes it from schoolyard tactics to downright dirty, dangerous tactics. Thankfully, Nigel's made of Teflon. He's a seasoned politician, and this vile rhetoric won't change a thing. Although it's most tiresome getting things that you've said being bandied around and thrown at your left, right and centre. The fact that the comment he made when he was in school just goes to show how infantile and downright desperate the other parties are to discredit him.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the messages I've got, and people are just they're just angry about it. It's like, hang on, he was a kid, you know, he was in the playground, he was a little boy going to school, and you're having a go about him about that. But the way it is, Georgina, that's why, to be fair, I think Nigel Farage seems slightly uncomfortable at the centre of this ludicrous firestorm, because he knows that even though it's absurd to have a go at somebody about something they did half a century ago when they were a child, this kind of stuff sticks. You're talking about Nazis, you're talking about Farage, you're talking about reform. It is the sort of stuff you have to be careful with. It's annoying, but it's the way of the world. The Guardian and the BBC know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, well, they've been in the job a long time. But like I said, you know, Nigel knows that it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. But we know what they're at. And I'm certain that Nigel's buckled himself in for the long haul. He's not going to let this deter him. You know, he's not deviating from the plan. And the plan is that he is going to lead this country to a better place. Because let's face it, my love, it couldn't get any worse.
It just can't do. And I agree with you. I think people are interested in this childhood story about Nigel Farage. They are interested. But I think they're also angry. They're angry that this should be brought up and used against him, because it's just ridiculous. He was a child. He was a child.
I'm quite sure, you know, Kevin, all these politicians that are throwing this mud and hoping it'll stick, I hope that they are squeaky clean from childhood, because I can promise you that there'll be someone who'll dig something up on them.
You're right, you're right.
But the thing with these politicians, especially when they're in government, whatever they do, you're not allowed to talk about it.
No,
you
you're
can't
not.
talk about it. It gets quietened down. You don't see it on the television. It's not allowed to be on YouTube. It's not allowed to be in the papers. So they need to be very, very careful, because let me tell you, what comes around goes around, and I can see a lot going around for them in the near future.
Yeah. Well, I'm not here to advocate for Nigel Farage. I just think that this will just pass. And it's already clear it isn't sticking. It's not causing him any problems. I also think that Kevin Hollingworth, the Tory party chairman, should apologise for comparing the new Reform UK logo with a Nazi swastika badge. That was ridiculous, and he needs to apologise. And Kemi Badenoch, who likes to see herself as a serious politician, when she said, oh, Kev was just having a joke, it was just humour, she needs to do better than that. That was barrel scraping and not right. Georgina, great call as always. Lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much for another excellent call. Before we go, oh no, we've got time now. Let's quickly listen to Peter again on Nigel Farage's childhood.
Good evening, Kevin. This thing about the Nazi badge is an absolute disgrace, because had it been the other way round and someone had said about someone in the Conservative Party, there'd have been outrage, wouldn't there? If you take the old Conservative logo with the hand outstretched holding the flaming torch, and then look at it next to the 1936 Nazi Party designed poster for the Olympic Games in Munich, it's almost the same. So, can we say that's a joke? I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I don't want to get too po-faced or woke, but you know, you can make jokes about the Nazis if you like, but it is kind of delicate territory. You know, this was the most evil regime in human history. So Kevin Hollingworth, I made a joke about it. Look, their logo looks like the Nazi swastika badge. It's not really very funny, and it's pretty distasteful to tread on that difficult territory. It really is sensitive territory. Let's go to Beth in Cambridge. Hello, Beth.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Hi. I just wanted to kind of mention about the adolescence comment that Nigel Farage was only a child. When he made that comment.
He's not sure that he did.
That's the thing. That's, you know, and my point is that he's entering into adolescence, so, you know, he should blah, 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 blah. However, in the next breath, the BBC also comes out with an article about your adolescence doesn't end until you're 32.
I'm not sure my adolescence has even started yet, but I know what you mean. You look, it's...
Don't worry. I just think anything he said as a child, I think, oh my goodness, what we said in the school ground, you leave it there. And if it's two things again, one thing's being said, and then another thing's being said, again, the BBC.
Well, look, Nigel Farage, quite reasonably says it's nearly half a century ago, 49 years ago. He doesn't have a clear recollection of it, and he's getting pretty suspicious that so many other people that seem to have these kind of didactic memory of it. Oh, yeah, I know every detail. Somebody came out of the woodwork this evening to say, oh, I remember he talked to me about Hitler being right and stuff like that. Well, maybe this guy remembers it, but Nigel Farage is not clear on it. And but I do think,
again, what you say as a child.
Yeah, he was a kid.
I can't remember what I said as a child. And I think, studies are saying again, you're not an adolescence doesn't end until you're 32. It's one thing said on one hand.
It's
on another. I don't really understand it, and I'm hoping
I think what's happening, Beth,
to something better.
Beth, I think people are making up they're just going, this is absurd. I mean, it makes for good headlines, but I don't think it's going to stick. I don't think it's a problem for Nigel Farage at all, because people are more grown up than some journalists. Beth, really good to talk to you. Beth in Cambridge there. Before we go to break, let's play one more WhatsApp voice note, and you'll never guess what it's about. It's a guy called Kevin, and he wants to talk about Nigel Farage's childhood.
Evening, Kev. This stuff about Nigel, we were all kids once. It's absolutely ridiculous that they're having to scrape the barrel this low. A quick comparison, I was watching Parliament with my cousin the other day, she's not very political, and she wanted to hear what the Reform member was saying. And you know how they're all jeered and shouted down and booed and they don't get to say it? She actually felt sorry for that Reform member, and it drawn her towards them. So all this smearing without actual criticisms of policies is only going to draw neutral people towards them.
I think that's a good point from Kevin there. And yeah, it is embarrassing sometimes when you see Nigel Farage or Richard Tice or any of the other Reform guys and women trying to make a point in Parliament, getting howled down by these children from the other parties. It's just ridiculous. Let's go to break. More of your calls, more of your WhatsApp voice notes and messages when we come back.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. A couple of messages. This is from Lorraine about the street preacher, Sean O'Sullivan. Good at remembering that name, aren't I? It is becoming clear, says Lorraine, that the CPS Crown Prosecution Service are pro-Palestine. This example of a man saying God bless you in a Christian country and the appeal to overturn the High Court judgment on the Quran burning are clear indicators of this, and that is extremely concerning. Yeah, it does seem like Christianity is turning into some kind of a crime. This is from Phil. He said the false case of a hate crime, the family who reported him should be made to pay the court costs. Yeah, they rang 999 apparently, this Muslim family, as if it was an emergency. Somebody just said God bless 999, it's an emergency. No, it's not. Perhaps people should be punished for such. Well, you know, you'd say that they were being fatuous, then the entire legal system gets behind them, and poor old Sean has to go through a 6-day trial, and then he is acquitted, of course. This is Phil Lewis saying, if that's the worst they can dig up on Nigel Farage, that must surely make him the cleanest politician in the country. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that. It's the best you can do. Is he said some nasty things when he was a 13-year-old in the school playground. He must have led a pretty blameless life. Shall we play one more Farage childhood WhatsApp voice note before we go to the next call? Yes, let's do it. It's from Stephen.
Evening, Kev. It's amazing, this faux outrage from the BBC and all the other left-leaning media outlets at what Farage may or may not have said. He said that 50 years ago, and it's outrageous. Bob Villan does the same at Glastonbury, and they broadcast it for an hour, and nothing to be seen here. It's two-tier broadcasting. It's absolutely outrageous, comical, but it's a sign of desperation from the lot of them.
Yeah, you're right about that. BBC getting worked up about anti-Semitism. They don't usually do that. They're usually pretty cool with it, aren't they? As in the case of Bob Villan at Glastonbury. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Simon. New caller. Love a new caller. He's from Wales. Hello, Simon.
Hiya, Kev.
All right, mate. What would you like to say?
Well, it's just about the BBC going off on Nigel Farage about this.
Yeah. Well, pick it up on the Guardian broke that nonsensical story, and the BBC are now running with it. But yeah, go on.
The BBC want to have a look back at the 70s and some of their comedy shows. We all remember Fawlty Towers and the famous scenes in there, and some others do have them. Even Only Fools and Horses. You know, Married in Sickness and in Health with Alf Garnett.
Mm-hmm.
All these shows, you want to go back and show them. And then if we're going to cancel Nigel for what he said 50 years ago, maybe we should cancel the BBC.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't be a bad idea. And don't forget, as just had a WhatsApp voice note pointing this out, good idea, good point, actually. What about Bob Villan at Glastonbury? That was blatant anti-Semitism, calling for the death of Jews. So the BBC didn't seem to mind anti-Semitism too much then. Suddenly, it's getting its knickers in a right twist about alleged anti-Semitism by Nigel Farage when he was a schoolboy.
Yeah, and about the preacher who was arrested, how many, 16 times? I mean, I can't remember how many times I've had Jehovah's Witnesses call at my house, Mormons. I work in the centre of Cardiff, and every day there's Hare Krishnas and street preachers. None of them are getting arrested, so why is it only Christians?
It does seem to be that way. It's as if Christianity is some kind of offence these days. And, you know, I don't care what religion that you are preaching, you've got a right to preach on a public street. Nobody has to stop and listen. And if they're offended, just move on. They don't have the right to not be offended by what Sean was doing or what any other street preacher does. This is just getting religion. Well, when did the police decide that it's their job to sort of enshrine people who are offended by stuff? It's not an offence to offend people. It's not an offence to be offended. So you have no recourse to law. It's ridiculous. Simon, good first call. Don't make it your last call. Call me again. Simon there in Wales. This is Mark. He's talking about what happened to Sean O'Sullivan in Swindon. He said, looks like we have Sharia law in England. We need to stop the talking and start grouping. That's Mark Mark in Solihull. And John in Sutton says, what a great interview with Sean O'Sullivan. God bless Sean, from John in Sutton. Thank you very much. He was a joy to interview. Sometimes interviews are easy when the interviewees are good. So should we go back to the phones? Yeah, we've got time. Let's talk to Saeed in London. Hello, Saeed.
Yeah, hello. Hi there. I had tried to call Andrea Jenkins because I wanted to ask her about whether Reform is doing enough to select good candidates, whether for council or for MPs. Because of the intake on councillors, 39 of them have either resigned, have been suspended, expelled, gone independent.
Is it 39? Is it 39?
39. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. In less than a year.
Okay.
Right? And also then on top of it, then you have some sort of rather odd MPs with Rupert Lowe, who threatened Zia Yusuf with physical.
Well, he's not reformed though, is he? He's not reformed.
He was elected.
Yeah, but he's not a Reform MP now, so you can't attack Reform through the prism of Rupert Lowe.
Okay, John McMurdoch, who physically assaulted his partner.
Yeah, well, he's no longer no longer has the Reform whip. So they've dealt with it. Rupert's left the party, and they've dealt with McMurdoch.
Yep. And then we have Sarah Pochin, who talks about too many black faces on TV. I think that's pretty racist.
Well, hang on. Whoa. She felt that there were disproportionate numbers of people of colour on TV commercials. In actual fact, if you look into that, it is true. It is true. The proportion of people of colour on TV commercials compared to the proportion of people of colour in real life is ludicrous. Something like 40% of the people who appear in TV commercials are people of colour. I've got no problem with that. I'm just saying that is not representative of the percentage of people of colour in real life in the entire population. That was her complaint. You see what I mean?
No, but Sarah Pochin found that quite.
She could have worded it better. You're right, Saeed. Yeah. She could have worded it better. But don't you think that when people heard her say that, they're all going, "Yeah, you're exactly right."
Well, I think I think there is a rise of racism.
She wasn't being racist.
No, that's your view. As a person of colour, I find it quite objectionable to make that statement.
So what? That there is a disproportionate amount of people of colour in TV commercials. All right, well, that's your view.
No, absolutely. And then you have Lee Anderson ranting about Sadiq Khan being an Islamist, which I think again is quite Islamophobic.
So what are you trying to say, Saeed? The Reform are somehow a racist party?
Yes, Reform has a collection of some pretty nasty politicians in a political party at the very top.
Well, in your view.
Yeah, of course.
And why do you think that they are becoming so popular then? Why are the polls revealing that they are miles ahead of every single party, and the way things are going, Nigel Farage is almost certain to be our next Prime Minister? If they're so awful, why are they so popular?
No, because there is a current of extremism.
Well, no, this isn't they're not an extremist party, though, are they?
No, that's your view. Let me speak. So there is a current of extreme parties doing well across the world. It has happened in the US with Trump. It has happened in Europe with.
Yeah, but you're trying to categorise Reform. Reform would say that they're not extremist.
Yes, no, of course, and that's why I'm trying to point out to you that when you have repeatedly lots of councillors and MPs and others who keep making some very...
Yeah, I do take that point, and Reform have said that they are going to, shall we say, improve their vetting process. I mean, they're turning... if you see what I mean, Saeed, they're turning from a small party into a big party, and that transition can be difficult. There's a lot of organisation involved. They're the first to admit they've got some way to go to get these things right. But anyway, I'm not here to be an apologist for Reform, and you have every right to your opinion, and I take your point. But Nigel Farage and his team would reject your contention that they're an extremist party, and they'd certainly reject your contention that they are in any way racist.
Yeah. No, look, I'm sure, I think they will do that, but I think, as I was saying, that there are repeated incidences.
Well, I think they're trying to, I mean, I take that point, but I think they're trying to sort that out. They've said so. Let's cut them some slack and see how they get on going forward. Saeed, as I say, good points by you. You're perfectly entitled to your opinion. I'm not disagreeing with you or agreeing with you. I'm just putting the other side of that argument. So thank you very much for an interesting call. Good call. Thank you. Saeed in London there. Let's go to break. More calls when we come back.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Quick message from Ernie. He said, Kev, the BBC is not biased. It's 100% far left. Well, Ernie, it's a good point, but that does rather make it biased, if you see what I mean. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Marie in West Midlands. She's a new caller. I love that, new caller. Welcome, Marie. What would you like to say?
Hi, Kevin. Thank you for taking my call. Really, I suppose it's just a rant, really.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Rant away, Marie. Rant away.
Good job. Just a bit of history. My husband served in the forces for 12 years.
Good.
For the last,
Thank you.
For the last 22
Thank you to your
years.
husband for his service.
Yeah, he's much appreciative when people do say that. For the last 22 years, I've worked full-time days. My husband's worked 15 to 16-hour nights.
Mm-hmm.
We literally, for 5 out of 7 days a week, we only talk on the phone.
You're like ships that pass in the night, right? So he comes home from work in the morning and you're just leaving, yeah?
Well, I don't actually see him. It's literally in the car.
Not even that good. Okay, okay.
Yeah, so it could be seen as like a healthy marriage.
Yeah, that's the way. Lasting happiness, that's the way to do it. But sorry, go on, Marie. What would you like to say? Go on.
I'd just like to say I am absolutely sickened, disgusted by the past government, the current government.
Yeah.
I watch my husband at the weekend. He sits on the settee. He can't keep his eyes open. And I think, what for?
Yeah.
What for? We've housed, we've fed, we've clothed our two children who both work.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know. We've got unsafe, unprotected borders. We can't get an appointment at the doctor.
Yeah.
You're lucky to get a dental appointment.
And then, Marie, you got the budget tomorrow. It's going to make everything a lot worse. It really
Do not
is.
even mention it. My poor husband is a nervous wreck about it. My husband actually got me on to talk. I didn't literally deal with politics. I paid no attention to it. And I'm actually in the state of, I spend a lot of my time now thinking, this country's got no future. What are we going to do?
Well,
Where are we gonna go?
I mean, you must decide what to do, but don't, you know, you've got your voice. You can always welcome to call here. But be engaged. A lot of people like yourself, Marie, who didn't formally take any interest in politics now realise they've got to, because we're in a terrible, terrible state, as you quite rightly say. Listen, Marie.